Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Robinhood Q1 2025 earnings live stream. I'm here with my very good friends, Roy and Tanner. We all three have been covering the company for about a year and a half now. And today is another day in the journey of Robinhood as we get their Q1 earnings. Roy, Tanner, how are you?
Good. Always excited for these.
Yeah, super excited. If they can come out and beat Wall Street expectations again, there's nothing they can't do. Super excited. And then interested to see what the market is also going to do. Last quarter was a major pump, so I'm excited.
I am excited as well. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We are also going to be looking at other earnings. So Robinhood reports at 4. We're going to do some coverage and our expectations into those earnings for the next 20 minutes. And then I think at 4:05, we get their numbers. We also get Meta. We also get Microsoft. Those are the big ones. We have some other earnings, but Meta, Microsoft, and Robinhood. This is going to be a very, very big day, regardless of if you're invested in any of those companies. All three of them have a massive implication on the market. So we'll be here, and we're going to be covering it all throughout the entire show. I think let's get started with this first question, kind of just to put the feeler out there. Roy, let's start with you. How do you feel about Robinhood going into these earnings?
It's a very easy hold for me. If the market gives us a dip, I couldn't buy during a lot of the dip previously, and I still want to round off my position, just round up things on even numbers. I got 4 different portfolios that Robinhood's in. It's in all my portfolios, actually. So I'd love to have that opportunity. We may get it. This is one where analysts have very high expectation. We know what most of the numbers are. We know Robinhood is killing it. Whether they miss, meet, or beat those numbers, that doesn't really matter to me at this point. They're executing on a high level, but I'm excited.
Tanner, your kind of raw thoughts going into earnings, and these are the expectations on the screen for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I think on EPS, I think it'll be a beat. And then revenue, I think it'll be somewhere around there. It'll be kind of hard because we already know the trading volume. This is not like SoFi or many of the other companies like potentially Microsoft or, most companies don't show the amount of information going into an earnings call as Robinhood. The only one that I can maybe put it as close to are companies like Tesla that show you deliveries. So, I'm excited, but a little bit worried. Overall, it's a long-term hold for me. I think most people know here that Robinhood's a pretty fun and interesting company, so they're actually letting some retail investors ask questions on the chat. I didn't get permission from the boys here to do this, but I think that potentially, I don't know if you guys have thought of questions. I have a few, but if you guys think as commenters that maybe there's a certain question that we should be asking, put it in the chat. Maybe start it out with like all caps, like, question, and then tell us what you think we should ask Robinhood, and potentially we'll pull out some of your questions to ask Vlad and Jason.
Yeah, so all three of us will get a chance to ask a question again. Robinhood is pretty amazing for giving us this opportunity. And yeah, if there's any unique questions in the chat, put it there. I think Roy, Tanner, and I all have our own question, but if there's something that we see, then maybe we'll get a chance to ask that as well.
Yeah, I just put one in the comments too, and I think it's pretty valid. Question, why is Tanner always late?
I wasn't late. This was not me.
He was definitely late. Roy and I were having a philosophical discussion about life. Then Tanner joins in. He's like, guys, I just crushed my lunch. Did you not say that, Tanner? Did you not say that? What did you have for lunch, by the way, that required you to say you crushed it? I mean, that's...
I got chicken wings.
Okay, well, see, there you go.
And they were so good. All right, I was caught. I've been caught. I was even late to the meetup and everything, but...
All right, so... Go ahead, Roy.
I think the United States is also having earnings. Donald Trump is talking about Invest America, so another big one.
Thank you for reminding me that. So Trump will be live today at 4 p.m. So that is another hint of volatility that we're all going to be having to deal with. Based on whatever he talks about, tariffs, trade, macro, he's already said a bunch of things today that caught some headlines, and that could also be affecting the broader macro. The official Hood pump or dump poll is now in the chat. So we're going to leave it open for the next 20 minutes, and then we'll see what the audience right here thinks about what will happen to Hood. For this earnings call, we are going to have to be using Robinhood Legend right here. And a couple things I want to show. I think some people might not have gotten access to these features yet. I know they're in beta. But as you can see right here, the widget on the left-hand or right-hand side of my screen where it says hood and the price, that's new. I got access to that about a week ago. So now you can actually see the price. You can see the big HOOD. You can buy or sell right from there. You actually can see volatility, fundamentals, the summary. You have the news headlines right there. And then you have the chart itself. So we're going to be looking in real time to see if it pumps or dumps on Robinhood Legend itself.
I don't know if his audio was going for you guys, but it was for me.
Goodness, dude, every time. Is it still bad?
No, it's fine now.
Okay.
I like that indicator, Amit, and yeah, you might have had a little something to do with that.
Yeah, well, okay. So let me repeat what I said. Sorry, guys, for the audio. Robinhood released a new beta feature, which is just this widget right here. I don't even know what they call it, but it's this widget on the left-hand side of the screen. You can see the summary, volatility, fundamentals of a stock. And as a streamer, I've asked them respectfully to like add that widget because it's one of the reasons why it's hard to use Legend to stream because no one can like see the stock in real time, like just in big numbers. And so they added it because they actually listen to their users and they innovate and they ship products. So that's what we're going to be using here today. And to be honest, I've been beta testing myself. I like it a lot more than Webull. So I think we're going to be using it for a lot more streams, and you guys can tell me how you think of it as well. So we'll be seeing the pump or dump on hood in real time on this chart, and we'll get the results in about 20 minutes. Let's talk about revenue. So we had a podcast a week ago, or not a week ago, 2 days ago, and we tried to figure out how the analysts get to 917 million of revenue. Tanner, I want to start with you. Do you think we can actually get to that 920 million of revenue number?
I mean, it's always possible, right? Like even whenever we look at last quarter, I said above $1 billion, but it was like decently above $1 billion, including contra revenue. So there's always ways for them to squeeze out earnings that I'm not anticipating, whether this is instant withdrawal increases, event contract, like who knows what it is. Is there a way for them to get 917? Of course. Okay, we're not that far off. So if I'm saying 907, they're saying 917. Can they find 10 million? Yes. And I'm praying for it, But it's also hard to make up, like, we know what their trading volume is. It's not going to get much higher than what they've already disclosed. So that's the only part that I'm struggling with. Gold members should be around 3.2 million, which seems high, but it's literally what they disclosed on the Robinhood Gold event. If that's 3.3, 3.4, like it's just continuously had a very strong ramp, that's going to, like, I can't imagine that doesn't pump the stock alone, just knowing that there's such a sticky user base. It's not about the $5 a month. It's about the fact that those people are going to use it as a primary brokerage, right? Higher share of wallet. And if Wall Street can recognize that about Robinhood, I think that people are going to love it. Also, there was a question that people put in. Ask them what you should name your new channel. I think they mean the podcast, but that might be my question. I might be like, hey, can your legal team stop?
Tech bros, it is for now. Roy, what do you think about revenues and if we can get there?
This is, one of those wild cards that they closed trade PMR. They mentioned that it was going to be right there in that third bullet point, immediately adjusted EBITDA accretive, and we don't know how much. So that's really the question is, can that make up that $10 million of Tanner? I mean, maybe, but it's 1 month. It's a lot to ask. But if they get there, it's because of a lot of different things that really went well. Like they report a lot of the numbers, so we know most of it. I'm not too concerned whether they meet or not. I would probably take the under going in. It just, they'll be a little bit under there. But it's still going to be a fantastic year-over-year growth. They're firing on all cylinders, so things are really good. And yeah, I do apologize, guys, for my setup. I forgot to bring my microphone, so I'll try to lean in and talk a little bit louder. So can you guys hear me better now?
Oh, you're perfect. You're perfect, yeah.
Yeah, you're good.
There's just a little bit of a hissing background, so when you're not talking, we'll just mute you, but otherwise, you're good. Here's my thing about last quarter. So last quarter, Roy and I thought they would get to like 950. Tanner said $1 billion. Tanner was right, and they exceeded that. And it was a really great quarter. That's why we saw the stock go from basically 55 to 65, around that range. And it was, a massive quarter. That was in the midst of the February local top that we experienced. And then we had the tariff volatility take us all the way back down to, I think, 32. And a lot of you guys in the chat, including myself and Roy, Tanner, we bought that dip. And now we're back to 50. So not exactly at all-time highs, but we are back from a decent level given where we fell. The difference between this quarter and last quarter is that this quarter, if you look at any of the data, and they pretty much disclose the data every month, was good, but it wasn't like Q4. Q4 crypto volumes were insane. This quarter crypto volumes were good, but they were still 10 billion less than last quarter. They make the most money off crypto. So there are ancillary parts of the business that have decreased quarter over quarter. They will be up year over year, but will they be up year over year to be able to beat the expectations? Which from all of our three numbers, I don't see 920 million. I'm just not seeing that. And I really hope I'm wrong. But and maybe we're underestimating margin interest. Maybe we're underestimating trading volumes on the 3 days of March data we don't have. Maybe we're underestimating prediction markets. Like we might be underestimating something, and that might get us over the top.
Those were some 3 big days.
Just saying. Yeah. But either the analysts are trying to screw us, which I don't think they're trying to screw us, or like we're not as good as the analysts on Wall Street for these numbers. Like we're gonna find out today. Like how they got
the wild thing is, analysts tend to be, a cautious bunch, and we're seeing that on a lot of fintech names today, where they're coming out just because of the GDP print and maybe a few other factors too, and they're saying, "Hey, let's actually revise things downward," and so there's that downward pressure. On Robinhood, like we're not seeing it for whatever reason. So, it means something.
Yeah. We have a little bit of time to kill before, 4:00 before we actually see the numbers. Amit, what were your raw thoughts on SoFi? And then also, what are your expectations for Meta and Microsoft?
So I thought SoFi crushed it. Unfortunately, the narrative on the stock, I think, is not it's not as exciting to the market. It's not that compelling, whatever it may be.
Say what you want to say.
This is a Robinhood stream. I should be saying it on a Robinhood stream, right? Look, I just think there is nothing creative or exciting about SoFi as a product or a company. And I think that the thesis on Robinhood is that they're not just a fintech company, they're a tech company. And Vlad and the team have given us ample evidence, and I think they will continue giving us that evidence throughout the year, of innovation and constantly shipping product. I mean, literally, I said, hey guys, I can't stream to a bunch of people who watch me every day until I get a widget that actually shows the ticker, because I tried streaming before and people couldn't see it and they got upset and they wanted me to go back, And so I gave my concerns and they said, you know what? We're going to do something to actually make sure the product gets better. I don't think you can do that with SoFi. I mean, you can't even sell options on SoFi yet. So I think SoFi is disrespected because their tech platform is barely growing. The B2B kind of SaaS multiple you would expect to get is not there. And Robinhood is being looked at as a tech company with a generational opportunity with the wealth transfer. Vlad has talked about all that money coming from boomers down to millennials and Gen Z. And as a result, that's why I think it can be really exciting for them today.
So how did that HIMS trade work out?
Well, I bought HIMS at 28, and thanks to Robinhood 24-hour, it's so funny. Thanks to Robinhood 24-hour trading, I bought HIMS at 8 p.m. 2 days ago, and I sold it at 7:30 the next day when it was up 40%. So it's another reason 24-hour trading is good. In terms of Meta and Microsoft, I think Microsoft needs to prove Azure AI demand is not slowing down. They missed on cloud estimates 2 of the last 3 quarters. If they miss again, I think the street's going to be a little upset in terms of what's going on. Everything else, I think they're going to be fine. With Meta, Snapchat didn't give guidance. And I listened to the call last night, and the CEO or the CFO was basically like, hey, we want to give guidance, but we have advertisers telling us that they are pulling back ad spend. So it's really hard for us to predict Q2. Now, maybe they're using tariffs as a scapegoat, but based on how I heard it, it seemed like they really just couldn't give guidance. If Meta doesn't give guidance today, I think that could get ugly. Tanner, any thoughts on how you think Meta is going to approach this earnings?
No, I don't really follow them too closely. The reason why I'm going to be bringing up their presentations, at least during while we're on this stream, I might listen to their earnings calls after this. Obviously, we're going to be listening to Robinhood's for the good bit, but I want to hear CapEx numbers. That's the number one thing that I'm looking for. I'm looking for CapEx. Pump NVIDIA, please. Would love that. That's why I'm interested in those 2 names.
Roy, any quick thoughts on Microsoft, Meta?
I see why Microsoft might be hesitant to give guidance. Meta doesn't really have that excuse in my estimation. They should do what they usually do. By the way, that's one of those strengths of this earnings for Robinhood. They don't give guidance, period. So if you do see any headlines or anybody call out and say, oh, Robinhood didn't give any guidance, like dump these guys, you need to unfollow that person because they have no idea what they're talking about. But yeah, I think Meta should report guidance. They might get 2 sets of numbers, but honestly, they don't really get hit by the first order effects of tariffs, so they should give it straight up.
Yeah, I would agree. Microsoft Street wants 322 in EPS and then 68 billion in revenue. Let's transition to the coolest thing in Q1 for Hood. If you had to pick one thing that you thought they did, and the chat as well, what is one thing? I mean, they did a bunch of stuff in Q1, including a big gold event, prediction markets, etc. What is the one thing you thought they shipped in Q1 that A, could be a difference maker for earnings, or B, is just like, you're really happy the company innovated on that front?
When was Events Hub? That was February?
Yeah, prediction markets. Yeah, February. Yep.
By far, event contracts then.
Yeah, I would actually say Robinhood Strategies. It's not, near term as far as...
I had to check the date.
No, that was Q1. That was it was the last day of Q1.
Sorry. Yeah.
But as far as Robinhood Strategies, it's not something that like near term is going to be like blowing up to $100 million annual run rate like they like to quote on those things. Yeah, the banking was cool too, but both of those products, but really Strategies is one of those things where it reaches and appeals to a very different kind of investor. And there's a lot of folks out there that just don't have the time for personal investing. They still want something, and that's a meaningful, very interesting product. I looked at one of the guys that we actually were there at the event with. He tested it out, and Robinhood actually helped them navigate very nicely through the Trump tariff stuff. They de-risked entering into that environment and ended up that I think that they're actually profitable over the last month that they've held it. And so if they perform well, if they continue to outperform, they're going to get a lot of traction from that. And I think that's also going to appeal eventually to those that came over to the retirement side simply because they were looking for that match. Now, because it's a great platform, they're building it out with a lot of features, including features that appeal to those that don't want to really do the individual stocks. They have a great setup there to retain many, many people, not just attract folks. So it's a long-term thing, but that got me pretty excited.
By the way, guys, some news had to come out just now. The S&P you guys are seeing it in real time. It's about to go green. There, S&P goes green after negative GDP data, a horrible jobs report, and rising inflation. I wonder what headline is getting us there.
It's got to be Trump.
Trump hasn't said anything yet, but someone knows something. This is kind of great going into Hood earnings, I think, right? Not horrible. Robinhood right here, just below 48. It was down 5% at one point. Now it's down 2.9. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think it was the comments that Trump said about this being Biden's stock market.
That is also something we had to deal with today. President Trump said that this market is not his market. Explicitly, he said this is Biden's market. So I guess, maybe
literally reacting in real time to what he's saying. But yeah, all right.
Could be a delayed reaction to Alex Karp speaking 3 hours earlier.
Talk about Palantir, eh? Huh, Tanner? Talk about Palantir, eh? I mean, good.
Super impressive company.
Just incredible. 118.25, up 2%. Is it expensive? Yes. Roy and I will be the first Palantir bulls to say that, but quite resilient through some of this tariff volatility. And here today is green. My biggest thing that I think they showed off in Q1, honestly, would be the event contracts. If you go on your Robinhood app right now, you can trade the NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs. You can trade if we're going to get a cut in May at the FOMC meeting. I mean, I just think this is something that's going to expand pretty aggressively over the next, decade, or at least over the next couple of years. And as they get more regulatory clarity, you're going to be able to trade anything. And, millions and millions of contracts traded on a variety of different events. Seriously. Just feels like this could be really big long term.
Yeah. No, I was pretty confident in who I thought was going to win the Canadian elections because of what Kalshi and Polymarket were saying. It really is an extreme source of truth, as Vlad says. So, holy.
Dude, there is some piece of news. None of you in the chat have said it. I can't find it. But there's something that's happening right now causing this pump.
Yeah, I wonder if people are just front running whatever Trump is planning to talk about, or it could be maybe there's insider volume, a lot of unusual volume on like zero DTE stuff on the SPY. We all know what that means. The Pelosi Act maybe is speaking against that at some point in the future, but it could be that if others are seeing that, they're like, "Hey, it's a good time to get in."
But it's not just SPY; it's everything. Like,
Well, yeah, but I mean, if it's a spy, then people catch on that. That's an indicator, and
that's
they'll
fair.
jump all over that.
Yeah, look at Netflix 1100. You got Palantir 118. Hoodie is still red for the day, but it's at 48. Amazon still red, but you can see those green candles. Snapchat 793. It was at 750 at one point. SoFi still down 6%, but you do have a green candle right there. PayPal still red, but it got a green candle. I mean, I don't know what it is, but it seems like it's something. In terms of the poll, so 65% of you say Hood's going to pump. Tanner, pump or dump? What do you say?
Bro, I'm never good at this.
You literally predicted the revenue last time. You're not
Yeah,
bad.
no, I don't mind. I don't mind guessing financials. I don't know what markets are going to do. I don't know why SoFi is down. I mean, I could take guesses on recession today, but not on the news of yesterday. So I have no clue. That being said, I'm going to say pump because that's what I want.
Okay, Roy, what do you think?
I would like dump, so I'm going to guess pump.
So I'm not going to say dump to be the contrarian. I'm going to say pump too. Because no, look, in all seriousness, maybe our numbers aren't accurate on that revenue estimate. And maybe they come up with like 925 million. And then that's all the street needs to pump. So,
I mean, we can look and see where Robinhood was just as far as price action recently. And we know the numbers. We know they're going to be very good. Like, what's going to happen that's going to shock people and cause it to dump? It would only be macro. Macros right now seems pretty excited and optimistic. It's a setup for a pump.
Are you guys expecting any sort of news during this call of things that they're doing that we don't have a press release for, that they haven't quite talked about?
So some companies do mention products and features in the middle of their earnings call, but a lot don't. And Robinhood's one of those that really doesn't historically. They may like give updates, and I'd love to get that on like strategies, for instance. But I don't expect any big announcements, especially because they have these 3 large events each year, and so they tend to reserve a lot of those for those times. And the next one is, of course, crypto midsummer. So I would be surprised if they announce anything of worth on that, other than just some updates on existing stuff.
Yeah, but you know what? Even updates on strategies would be super great. Like if they give us annualized numbers on legends, index options, futures, strategies, all of this would be phenomenal.
yeah, I mean, this is pretty incredible. So this is our watch list today, guys. Hood, Microsoft, Meta, Qualcomm, Coca-Cola, eBay, Sprouts Farmers, VC Properties, Cheesecake, and Enovix. Those are the main earnings. Obviously, we'll start with Hood, but as we get the results, we'll be sharing it as much as we can. And then we'll get the call at 5 p.m. We got 3 minutes left. If you're new to the channel, we ring a bell at 4 p.m. to commemorate the market close. We've been doing it for like 2 years. So if you need to mute at 4 p.m., then feel free to mute. But yeah, it's getting some serious volume. I still don't know why we're pumping this much into the close. I don't see anything. There was a headline that Trump reached out to China and he wants to talk, but that was from Chinese state media. So I don't think the markets would necessarily pump on that. Also, that headline's like an hour old. So
Yeah, that's not it.
yeah, we're gonna have to see in 3 minutes how this plays out. This is always super cool, right? This is the fun part about being an investor. It's like you take the chance with your capital, you allocate it, you deal with the gut-wrenching volatility of whatever is causing
Yes, sir.
up or down for moments like this.
Yeah. A lot of volatility, a lot. And it feels like you've made the wrong move, but you just got to stick to your gut, buy great companies.
That's exactly it. Yeah, if you're an investor versus a trader, traders, you do you. But if you
As
buy
long as you're
quality
doing it on
companies,
Robinhood.
yes. If you buy quality companies, though, like you can weather the storm. You're like, okay, yeah, maybe it's going to be painful over the next month or 12 months or whatever, but like 5 years out, are you going to regret buying a quality company that is continuing to outperform? No, probably not.
Yeah, and if you bought the dip this morning, I mean, already it's getting getting green right here. 2 minutes. This is going to be an exciting one. They are doing a video call again. I don't know if it's going to be the same setup where it's kind of like a basketball game and they're taking questions, but
It has to be.
yeah, they've innovated on every level. Earnings call, Palantir and Hood are the only ones that actually do video calls and make it fun to watch. So I think it'll be cool. I think it'll be pretty cool.
Dude, I was listening to that grab call that you were listening to. I think it was yesterday.
Yeah.
Comatose. I was out cold.
What is comatose?
He's in a coma.
Oh, what is? I've never heard that word. Comatose? I've never heard that word, brother.
Amit is learning every day.
Is that just me? Who's ever heard of the word comatose?
Everyone in the chat.
There's no way people know what the word comatose is. What is that? I've never heard of that.
That's the word of the day, sir.
Bro, look at Hood. Oh, the earnings are not out yet, bro. It just, oh my goodness.
Earnings are out.
It's not out. It's pumping like a dollar.
Earnings have been leaked.
Bro.
Somebody knows
wild.
something. Oh, wait, maybe not.
Is it just Hood or is it a bunch of companies?
Well, I'm looking at Hood right now, but S&P as well, 554. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. 4 p.m. Wednesday, April 30th. Robinhood Q1 2025 earnings. The stock market is now closed.
I thought it was never going to end.
And now we wait. Robinhood's at almost about to hit 50. The earnings are not out from my understanding. I don't see any earnings. I've got it loaded on my screen for whenever it is out. I can't fully explain it, but here it is. I mean, it could also go down just as easily. I mean, this is the volatile nature of the markets, but we got to see what these results look like. We should be getting them probably any minute right now. We'll be loading up as soon as we get it. Microsoft right here, 403, Meta 547, Qualcomm 147, Coca-Cola 72, eBay 68, Sprouts Farmers 171, Robinhood 49.96, 50. There you go. It's up 2% after hours. I don't have the number yet. I don't have the number. 50.40. It's up 2%. You guys can see it right there on the screen. I don't have the numbers yet. I've not seen it react like this on any of the earnings we've covered. This one's an interesting one.
And the implied move, by the way, was about 10% either way. So
right. We got Microsoft. All right. While we're waiting for Hood, we got Microsoft. Microsoft beat by 7% on EPS, beat by 2% on revenue. EPS 346 versus 322, 70.06 versus 68.4 billion. Microsoft with a double beat. Not bad. Microsoft stock is up 5% after hours.
Love it.
Absolutely love it. There you go. Microsoft getting some green. And now we wait for Hood. Hood 49.99, Meta 5.49. Meta is down about 1%. Robinhood up 1.2%. Microsoft up almost 6% now. It's been a while since we've had a double beat on Microsoft. We got to see Azure Cloud, but it seems like that one already did well given how the street's treating it right here.
yeah.
And now
I'm a bit like Tanner, where it's like it's all about that guidance and the capex spend, and then I'm like, okay, good. I don't hold it other than just owning the S&P 500. So.
Right.
5 million into Hood in the last second. I would imagine the call volume and just the pure equity volume is surging given the momentum we saw in those final 2 minutes. But Microsoft, all right, one of the big ones today, they did their job. They got to have a good call, but they did their job. 7% EPS beat at these levels and 2% revenue beat. Not bad. You cannot say that's too bad. They got through the analyst estimates. And now we are waiting for Hood and Met. Qualcomm is out. Qualcomm beat by 1%. EPS 285 versus 282. Revenue 10.83 versus 10.6. Very important company in the semiconductor world. Qualcomm is down 3%. All right, market's not fully loving this one right here. Qualcomm down just about 3%. Robinhood down a little bit after hours. Still don't have the number yet. But Qualcomm doing all right. I'm going to add NVIDIA on this just to take a look at that the whole time. Also, Confluent, I think, is earnings today, so we'll add them. NVIDIA is slightly up a little bit after hours. Robinhood's flat. Microsoft still up almost 7% now. Meta's down a little bit, and then Qualcomm right here down about 3%. All right, we are waiting for Hood. We are waiting for Hood. It probably comes out at 4 or 5, so we got 2 minutes. We got 2.
Yeah, let's check.
2 minutes. Amid thoughts on Hood Legend, I really like it. I think it's replaced. I've been playing with it for the past 2 weeks in beta. I think this is going to replace Weeble for me because it's just easy to navigate and it just looks a lot better, to be honest. So, yeah, this is going to probably take over what we've been using. I'm going to add Palantir to the watch list as well because it's Palantir. 118.56, that's up still. And then we'll put Google here as well to take a look at that one. Google is down, actually, a little bit after hours.
NVIDIA's up after hours?
NVIDIA is, 0.62 up, about 0.5%. Microsoft, again, 7% after hours.
Jeez.
Hoodie is flat right now. I don't think Datadog's today. So I don't think. Oh, let me put Amazon here. Just I mean, when you got big tech reporting, you got to look at all of them. So Amazon is just slightly down after hours, but it pumped big into the close. Robinhood again, just there at 50. We're up 1.7. Let's see. Numbers should be out in about a minute or less.
I'm refreshing like a madman right now, trying to find anyone leaking these numbers.
Dude, this is the fun part about being an investor, bro. These moments, this is like, and we get it 4 times a year. Get to do it 4 times a year. Is Meta pumping? We got a Meta pump. Meta, nothing on Meta. No, it's pumping. It's up 3. I don't have the numbers yet. I should get it in a second. I don't have Meta's numbers, but I think they're pumping. Yeah, Meta 4%, almost back to 580. But now that 4% turned into 1%. That is very volatile. Let me see if I can try to get these Meta numbers right here. Microsoft is out. Meta is not yet out, even though I would imagine it's out, up 3%. Oh, I think we got Robinhood. I think we got it. I don't see it on my screen, but I think we have it. Let me see if the stock is moving. Hood is down 1.7, down 3. All right, so we got a red candle right there. Let's see if that reverses or if that sticks.
So it must be some sort of top or bottom line miss.
Or it's reversing the pump it had going into the last couple minutes. I see some of you guys in the chat giving the numbers, but I want to see the actual ones confirmed for me.
Yeah, it's another billion.
Yeah, I've just gotten fooled too many times. Trusting. Yeah. I love you guys.
Yeah, you can't trust that.
I got it. All right, here we go. 927 million. They beat on revenue.
Sweet.
Beat on revenue. There you go.
And on EPS.
EPS 37 cents. Net deposits, wow, 18 billion. That's that 2% gold. They got people to bring it over. There you go. Gold subscribers 3.2 million. Net income up 114% year over year to 336 million. That means their net income margin 336 divided by 927. Every dollar that goes into Robinhood, they are making 36 cents of profit. Pretty freaking incredible. All right, let's go through these numbers. The stock is basically flat after hours. Stock's down about 2%. Stock's not really moving that crazy. All right, here we go. This quarter, we significantly accelerated product innovation across our key initiatives, highlighted by the announcement of Robinhood Strategies, Banking, and Cortex, said Vlad Tenev, CEO of Robinhood. Customers have clearly responded, demonstrated by record-breaking net deposits, Robinhood Gold subscriptions, and options volume, as well as a robust year-over-year growth in trading across all asset classes. We started off the year strong, driving market share gains, closing the acquisition of Trade PMR, and remaining disciplined on expenses, said Jason Warnick, Chief Financial Officer. As a result, in Q1, we grew revenues by 50% year over year and EPS by over 100%. That's pretty damn incredible. Congratulations to Robinhood and the team. It's also great to see customer engagement to start Q2. Additionally, we continue to return capital to shareholders and increased our share repurchase authorization by 500 million. There you go. Now they have 1.5 billion allocated to buy back stock, reflecting management and the board's confidence in our financial strength and future growth prospects. A lot of people say, oh, when companies buy back their shares, they're not growing. Not Robinhood. Revenue growth of 50%, EPS growth of 100%, and they can buy back shares. I mean,
yeah, and as far as the buyback strategy, if you're not familiar with Robinhood, it's basically to offset the SBC, not to like really roll back the share at this point.
Correct. All right, here we go. Let's get into the actual numbers. Let me see if they have the deck up. If I have the deck, I can show you guys. Oh, I do. Do I have the deck? No, I don't have the deck yet. All right.
Yeah,
So
they don't have the deck, but they do have the numbers down on what page is this? Page 4.
page.
You can see them breaking down transaction-based revenue, net interest revenue, other revenue.
Okay, so let me go through the headline numbers and then we'll get the other stuff.
Sure.
Hood stock real quick is it's up, but it's flat. I mean, it pumped a little bit into the close, so the stock's really not reacting. Nvidia real quick, Palantir, by the way, 119 after hours. Nvidia 111, that's up 2%, probably because Microsoft and Meta said some good stuff. Meta right here up 1.9%, and then Microsoft up 5.8. Real quick, let me try to get Meta's numbers just to give that to you guys, and then we'll get deeper into Hood. Meta. Wow, EPS beat by 23%, 643 versus 521. Revenue 42.3 versus 41.3. So Meta and Microsoft with some pretty gigantic beats, and that's probably what's helping NVIDIA here right now. All right, total net revenues increased 50% year over year to $927 million for Hood. Transaction-based revenue 77% year over year to $583 million. Crypto was $252, up 100%. Options revenue of $240, up 56%, and equities of $56 million, up 44%. Interest revenues $290 million, primarily driven by growth in interest earning assets and securities lending activity, partially offset by lower short-term interest rates. Other revenues $54 million. That's a big one, up 54% year over year, primarily due to increased Robinhood Gold subscribers. Total assets $221 billion. That was $187 a month ago. So that's up well above $200 billion. Net deposits $18 billion. That means in the last quarter, they had to get something like the last month, $7 billion of deposits.
The deck is out.
The deck's out. Okay, let me pull that up.
25.8 million customers, up 620,000 this quarter.
Wow. I thought it would be 550. So they added an extra 70,000 compared to my estimate.
Yeah. Which is what they used to do. The 70,000.
They used to do 70,000 in a quarter. They added 70,000 in a month. My goodness. Gold subscribers, 550,000 in the quarter, 3.2 million total.
That attach rate's really good, 12.5%, 12.4%.
Wow. And as you can see, that attach rate matters even more than the number of subscribers because it shows that the more people they get, the better their conversions are. Total platform assets, $221 billion. Net deposits, $18 billion. That's the biggest month they've had, I think, ever, or quarter they've had ever. Last time this year, they had 11. Last time when Robinhood was $13, they had 11 billion. This time they have 18 billion. I mean, that is just incredible growth. Okay, so let's get into some of the other numbers. Now, their AUC is up 70% year over year. They say primarily due to acquisition of trade PMR. So there you go. That trade PMR, which added about 40 billion in assets, now that Robinhood had bought the company, that got them above 200 billion as well, which is pretty good. Robinhood basically flat after hours. Nvidia though, 2.2% up. Nvidia doing good. Microsoft is still up about 6%, and then Meta right here up about 3% after hours as well. All right, retirement AUC, 1.3 million retirement accounts. AUC under custody, 14.4 billion. That's up 300%. Retirement accounts up 200%. And then retirement AUC per account, that's down a little bit this quarter at $10,900 from $11,400 last quarter. Net deposits, 18 billion, 37% annualized growth rate. We'll get back to that slide in a second. Q1 trading volumes, as we can see, up 84% year over year, down 2% quarter over quarter on equities. Options 46% year over year, 5% quarter over quarter, and then crypto down 35% quarter over quarter, but up 28% year over year. ARPU was $145, down a little bit from 164 last quarter, and transaction volumes were 900, or total volumes 927 million. Transaction was 583. 252 off crypto, 56 off equities, 240 off options, 35 off other, which is instant withdrawal revenue primarily. And the net interest was 290. Tanner, real quick, your reaction to the beat on the top and the bottom line here.
It's just crazy. I mean, this is not the same level of volume that we saw in Q4. So the metrics that I'm trying to look at is how sticky are the users, how are you actually doing on the things that you can control. Okay. Like, I'm looking at the total amount of assets that they have per customer, the total amount of retirement accounts, the total amount of gold attach. I love the page on their product velocity remaining robust in Q1. I think that's on page 5 for them.
Yeah.
All those bubbles are what they did in Q1. That's what they did in January, February, and March. Like, the rollout is just insane, and those are the things that they can control. So as the market, switches from being really, really good for them or really bad, those are out of their control, and that volatility comes with a stock like this. But I'm loving every other metric. Like,
Look
it's
at
crazy.
look at page 22. This slide is just fun.
Look at that. Rule of 40, 111%. My goodness. My goodness.
I thought that actually might decrease under triple digits, which is
Right.
crazy, but yeah, it keeps going up.
All right, so the stock is dumping. Let's try to intellectualize, if that's a word, why the stock is dumping. But as a long-term shareholder, I kind of don't care that the stock is dumping. Like, these numbers are incredible. But let me give my thoughts real quick. Number one, I think it could reverse on the call. But number two, we're in a really tough macro, guys. And this macro is very uncertain. How does Robinhood make money? You got to have a bullish environment. Now, the business is diversifying greatly, but at the end of the day, it is very high beta against crypto and basically the S&P 500, right? Trading. So I think if the market is uncertain about the nature of if we're in a bull market or not, these results still aren't enough to get it to pump, even though I think that's kind of stupid. But that's my thoughts short term, why I think we're not getting a crazy pump like we did last time. Tanner, any thoughts on that as well?
Yeah, I mean, people I think are looking out a little bit. I would have thought that they would have posted April numbers, but I can't seem to find any April numbers for trading volume like they gave us last quarter, which is a little stinky. But
well, hold on. If you can't find it, that might be the reason. I mean, if the street needs to know, is April going good, or are we getting set up for a bad Q2? That could.
Right. Share repurchases is great. Their total amount of outstanding shares is flat to declining. I mean, it is actually declining, but not by very much.
Hold on. They bought back 7 million shares, if I'm not wrong, right?
Let's see here.
Yeah, 7 million shares.
Dude,
and then they gave less than that away for trade PMR. Quite a bit less, but
hold on. So their average price on those was 46. They bought back 7 million shares at 46. 322 divided by 7 million. Wow. Dude, it's 46, right? So if the company is saying we think 46 is undervalued, I mean, it's not like they bought in March when it fell to like 32 or whatever, or April 8th, and that would be Q2. But yeah, I think they think they're pretty undervalued if they're buying it back at 46. In Q3, we began returning capital with a $1 billion share buyback. In the first 3 quarters of the program, we repurchased 17 million shares, including 7 million in Q1. And that offset the 300 million they spent on trade PMR. So literally, trade PMR we got almost for free, theoretically, right? As a shareholder, they were able to purchase shares to offset that. In April 2025, the board authorized a $500 million share repurchase program. So they still feel comfortable with their cash reserves to keep buying back more stock. And over the next 2 years, they believe they'll spend about 1.5 billion. So they have 800 million left to buy the dip.
Yeah, I really wish they gave us April numbers, because that would be super exciting to see. Obviously, we'll get them in the next 10 days or whatever. But yeah, overall, it looks great. We did get finalized March numbers, which is almost exactly where we thought it would by averaging out the average days of the last 3. So that looks fine. Margin book at 8.8 billion now. They're growing in almost in market share in almost every area that they're dealing in. And that's the important part. You can even see it in their roadmap, the things that the internal metrics that they're judging their success off. Equity market share, options market share, crypto market share, margin market share.
Right.
It's not like those have fluctuations and Wall Street can pick them apart for that. But that's not how they're going to look at themselves. And that's not how I'm going to look at them.
Yeah, I agree. And this 6% dump, for whatever reason we had it, is starting to get reversed a little bit right here. So, I mean, this thing should be up a lot more I think it should be up at least, 10 to 15% like it was last quarter. But Street's not feeling it yet right now. Here's some more coverage on Robinhood here right now.
Like a solid beat for Robinhood in the quarter, both on the top line from what we're seeing, as well as the bottom line, and record net deposits. Earnings per share beat by 4 cents. That came in at 37 cents, doubling roughly year over year. Better than expected revenue as well, 927 million. That was up roughly 50% 8% or so from a year ago. Revenue per user also stronger than expected, $145 per user. Funded accounts, 25.8 million. That also beat consensus. And then transaction-based revenue, a beat as well, 583 million. Crypto made up almost half of that. Options revenue, interestingly, was roughly the other half. And then equities, which was a much smaller part of that in comparison, about 56 million total, all stronger than expected. 51% margins for Robinhood, seeing better profitability in the business. 18 billion in net deposits. That was a record. I spoke to CFO Jason Warnick, who told me a bulk of that and those deposits are coming from more sophisticated high net worth traders. So in prior quarters, they said it's about $100,000 on average. More details to come on the call around that. OpEx, I would note a slight miss. Warnick telling me that was due to more marketing to attract some of those deposits, and says they are seeing momentum continuing. In April, said they see strong engagement continuing by customers. Strong start to Q2, as he put it. He also says they are seeing clients buy into the recent dips we've been seeing. Said, quote, when the market is down, our customers tend to be net buying on the day. A few years ago, folks were worried, he said, about what would happen to the retail trader if the market softened. This quarter and the strength of April, he says, really helps to answer some of those questions. Guys, shares, it looks like down slightly after hours. Back over to you.
I mean, Roy, go ahead.
Yeah, I think the OpEx is just trade PMR. Like that, there was a stock-based compensation expense. There was also a monetary expense, and so that went directly against the operating expenses in SBC. My guess, and who knows what's going to happen, beyond today, is at least some of that selling was just algorithmic, because it looked at that and it said, "Oh man, look, their OpEx is out of control. Their SBC is a lot higher. This is dangerous." And when a human actually looks at it, it'd be like, "Wait. No, this is actually just trade PMR."
Right, 100%. That makes a lot of sense. Tanner, go ahead.
Page 34, contra revenue came in slightly higher, just slightly higher than last quarter. So not seeing the massive ramp that we saw before. So it went from 13 to 27 to 43, massive ramps, and then just slightly higher at 46. So
what did we not see to get them to 920 million?
Well, so from what they're pointing out here is that it's priced into revenue. So the take rates that we have include contra revenue.
Oh.
So options, that it's 22 million, 5 million for equities, 12 million for cryptocurrency. It's already taken off.
Okay. So we just net subtracted 46, whereas they're doing it in a bit of a different way, is what you're saying.
Yeah, they're just looking at it as essentially net revenue rather than gross revenue minus contra revenue.
Okay, so that is what I think got all of our numbers at that 900 range over 927. Yeah, so now that actually makes sense. That nuance gets you above the 917 estimate, which is what the analysts had. Look at their net deposits, by the way, dude. Holy guac and moly.
Yeah.
7.6 billion.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just say that for $7.6 billion somewhere in the world found its way into little Robinhood. Like, they are coming after Schwab and Fidelity. I mean, the reason they can do this is because they're a tech company and they have 90% fixed costs.
Yeah, dude, I'm freaking stoked. Like, they're doing great. But mainly, I'm also stoked by what Meta said. Did you guys see this really quick?
No.
They said, we're raising capital expenditures.
What?
So it's not 60 to 65 anymore. It's 64 to 72.
I've never loved Zuck so much as right now.
Oh my gosh.
I don't love him, but
okay, let's get some coverage right here on Meta.
Bottom line, EPS of $6.43, far ahead of the estimates of $5.28. Revenues of $42.31 billion, ahead of estimates of $41.4 billion. That's driven by better than expected ad revenue and a higher than expected operating margin of 41% versus the 37%. That's the street account estimate. Daily active people, these are all the people using Meta's family of apps. 3.43 billion, well ahead of the 3.39 billion street account estimate. Now, just want to note here in terms of the outlook, the company is saying it sees second quarter revenue in a range roughly in line with estimates, but they're increasing the full year 2025 CapEx to between 64 billion and 72 billion, up from the prior outlook of 60 billion to 65 billion, saying this updated outlook reflects additional data center investment.
Now we know why NVIDIA is running. Dude, come on. We're in an AI revolution, baby. Zucks is spending more. And you got Nvidia trading at 19 times next year earnings. Come on, bro.
Investments to support our artificial intelligence efforts, as well as an increase in the expected cost of infrastructure hardware. You see shares of Meta now about 3%. Back over to you.
All right, Julia, thank you.
Hey, Seaport. Fuck you. don't
Wait,
don't be putting $100 on my stock.
Who are you saying F you to? That's so aggressive.
To Seaport Global.
Is that a person?
No, it's the
Company.
institution that gave Nvidia a $100 stock price, saying we already know what capex is going to be. AI. There's nothing special about AI right now. No one can monetize it.
Yeah, I mean, look,
Get out of here.
There are research firms that want to be contrarian to be contrarian. So, like, dude, come on, bro. Meta spending more, another $7 billion. Are you kidding me?
F you, Seaport. Yeah.
No, I'm not gonna lie, Tanner. That was such an awkward. This is why we love Tanner, though. When Tanner gets aggressive, it's hilarious.
I thought he was just being aggressive towards you.
You didn't read the report. I thought you've been keeping up on the markets.
I didn't read the Seaport $100 report on Nvidia. No, this is pretty incredible. Did Microsoft? Can we get some nuance on them? I don't think they're still up 7%. Let me see if I can get a little bit more coverage on these guys. Let's get Dan Ives right here, and then we'll get some more Microsoft. We got the hood call in about 30 minutes.
On data center hardware at a time when there are questions about whether big tech is going to pull back. What do you think?
Yeah, I think what you heard from Zuckerberg, I mean, those are CapEx words. They're going to be heard around the world and especially around the street, because it just speaks to the worry that you're going to see big tech pull back. They're doubling down. And I think you'll hear the same from the Dell on the call as well. And this is just so important and crucial. I think crucial to the whole tech trade, because that's where the spend, the AI revolution is not getting slowed down because of tariffs. And I think big tech is fueling that. And you look at these numbers, look, I mean, this is a home run quarter across the board for big tech. Aaron Judge-like quarter, I think what we saw from Meta as well as Microsoft.
Now, we still got to get, Amazon and some others. We're going to hear from Apple soon as well. But on these cloud players that we're hearing from so far, is there enough confidence, despite the uncertainties that even Meta referred to on the regulatory front, and of course on the tariff front, that you think are going to give investors some confidence that, wow, if these big spenders continue to be confident, maybe I can too?
Yeah, John, that's a great set. But I think the tech trade changes after these results, because as an investor, the thing that I've heard over the last 3-4 weeks is, are they going to pull back? Can I have confidence in numbers second half? And you look at what we're seeing from the hyperscalers, and we've talked about in our checks, in some ways there's actually an acceleration. And you could say more and more resilient. It just shows enterprises are going full steam ahead, because you don't want to lose your spot in line. Bullish for when it comes to Google, and obviously we saw GCP. Obviously what we're seeing with Azure, the 200-bit beep, and I think many thought that they were actually going to miss. And this is obviously a huge barometer going into Amazon, where I think you're going to have strong AWS numbers tomorrow. That is, if you're a bull, you just checked every box here in terms of what you're seeing. You'll see some caution, regulatory, of course, but relative to this Category 5 storm that we've seen, software, big tech, really holding up, Rock of Gibraltar like.
Tanner, what do you think about the fact that all this tariff volatility is not slowing down the hyperscalers?
Like Jensen Huang said, during a recession, whenever a company is faced with hard times, they're going to go after their potential biggest opportunities, the things that are moving the fastest. And so they think that they are a little bit recession-proof unless a government tells them that they can't sell to one country out of 120 countries that they deal with. Like, that's going to make a difference. But, I think that it is an area that there's so much potential growth, so much potential cost savings, everything like this, that they're going to have to still continuously invest. And that's going to be an area that people still look to. It's why Palantir's still running. It's that if there's going to be cost savings, if Doge is going to do its thing, then potentially it's not the Palantirs that get cut. It's actually Palantirs that get larger contracts, because that's going to save people money.
Roy, your thoughts on tariff volatility not stopping CapEx?
I mean, yeah, exactly what Tanner said, and he's right on Palantir. You know, I actually came out with a video a couple weeks ago where I was like, "Hey, this if you're looking for a company, not the stock, but the company that is actually impacted positively by tariffs and all the confusion, it's Palantir." So, but yeah, the AI train does not stop. It's here. It's real. If this uncertainty had happened maybe like a year earlier, we may not know that, but like anybody that's basically saying that it was all just a big bubble is just not paying attention, frankly, and their heads in the sand. And then again and again, with some doubt, this earnings and last earnings going in, whether or not these giants, the Mag 7, would reiterate their CapEx spend. I mean, they're not just reiterating, they're accelerating. And that's really exciting for what it means, certainly for like first order effects as far as NVIDIA and also for those individual companies, but also what it means as far as like AI innovation. Like this is not going to stop. It's not even slowing down. They're not even just tapping the brakes to see if they work. It's full steam ahead, and in fact, let's accelerate. And these are companies, by the way, that are fantastic, that are not like, oh, we're just going to accelerate and drive right off of a cliff. Absolutely not. They know what they're doing.
Somebody in my stream, please, get that clip of Roy saying Tanner is right on Palantir. I have to use it for a later video.
Oh my gosh. This is pretty damn incredible, dude. Palantir right here, 119. Robinhood, unfortunately, not joining the party with everyone else, but it happens like that sometimes, right? I mean, I think, Tanner, did you see the April guidance at all anywhere?
No.
I honestly, guys, I think that's the reason. I think the street needs to know April's going good, and April's been a pretty tough month.
No, I think it's going down. Stockgoat on X said, breaking news, Robinhood's revenue is decreasing quarter over quarter. So that's why I think the market's selling off. We've got great analysis like that. So,
oh, goodness gracious. Yeah, that's, but that's weird, right? Why isn't the April, I mean, maybe they want to.
This is one of the reasons why like it's so important for companies to compare quarter or year over year. Quarter over quarter can be meaningful with certain products, but as far as overall revenue, there's a lot that can happen, especially in a volatile business like this. But year over year, you get the trajectory very clearly. Almost every business is going to have down quarters, but especially fintech. It's the nature of the beast. We've seen it with SoFi, we see it with Robinhood, we've seen it with PayPal, frankly. So
we got Vlad. We got Vlad. Here we go.
Right.
Oh, I love these.
Hi, everyone. I'm getting ready for our Q1 2025 earnings live stream, and I wanted to give you a quick preview. Q1 was another strong quarter, with revenues up 50% from last year. Plus, we hit new records across a number of dimensions, including net deposits, options trading, and gold subscribers. What I'm most excited about is the insane product velocity we had to start the year. For active traders, we launched futures and our prediction markets hub, and we added new capabilities and selection to Robinhood Legend. For wallet share, we announced 3 new products to serve even more aspects of our customers' lives. 1, Robinhood Strategies, our advisory product. 2, Robinhood Cortex, our AI trading tool. And 3, Robinhood Banking. Finally, we're making progress building the #1 global financial ecosystem as we continue to grow and gain market share in the UK, EU, and are getting ready to launch in Asia. Looking ahead, we have a ton of exciting products on the roadmap, and we're excited to share more at our upcoming Crypto Summit in June. You can find more details in our press release and our live stream at investors.robinhood.com, YouTube, or X. See you soon.
This is why I love Vlad. This is what is it so hard for a CEO to record a 1 minute, 30-second video and then post it on social media where all of our attention is? Like, this is the future, dude, and they're embracing the future, and that's why they're winning.
It is the future. Yeah. The future's bright with Robinhood. I mean, they have a long time with Vlad and that type of execution. Even the video calls, everything that they try to do tries to be the most modern solution, right? And that's what I really like. Even whenever, we were going out to the event, even that was like such a modern way of doing things. I don't know. It was perfect.
No, they knew how to throw a party. I mean, like they really know what the hell they're doing. They know how to invite the people and get people excited and make it fun and use social media. So I just think they're at the right stage of their trajectory. Roy, any thoughts on that video by Vlad?
I love that he's doing that. Like, shareholder letters are one thing, shareholder videos. Alex Karp, if you're watching this, I know you're not, but like, do the video too. That gets us, and he does sometimes. Like, these companies are just great at not only executing, but also innovating, and also even to the level of what they do for their investor relations page and how they present themselves at earnings. It's great. By the way, if Robinhood does continue to sell off, one of those little tidbits in the earnings presentation itself is a note that they're willing to accelerate that buyback if market conditions warrant.
Right.
My guess is part of that might be like macro certainty, but I think a lot of it is if Robinhood gets sold off to silly levels again, they are not afraid to just say, you know what, let's buy this dip.
Yeah. And they will. But
Yeah, I agree. I think
is Robinhood strategies out right now, or is it only available to select users?
it's out. It's out. I use it. Well, haven't funded it yet, but I played with it. I've seen it.
Yeah, but you would have been invited, like,
I think
is
everyone
in
has.
the chat invited, or are you invited because you went to the event?
I've seen people on Twitter post about strategies, so I think
Okay.
most people. Maybe it's not out to everybody, but I mean that's another business that could turn into $100 million business. They get 400,000 customers paying $250 a year. Boom, you got
Saying
it.
it's not invite only. All right.
Yeah, there you go.
They specifically mentioned that, and also banking as well as potential $100 million annual run rate in future years, plural.
Yeah,
in
well,
this
not
earnings.
100 million, 9 figures.
Yeah,
That leads
you're-
us to anywhere
you're
between
right.
100 and 900 million. Let's not lowball it.
Yeah, this was an incredible quarter, dude. The only thing we don't have is April guidance. I'm sure they'll talk about that. And look, maybe April wasn't that good. And you, as a shareholder, you have to recognize, hey, this is a company that benefits off of a good market. April was a bit of a tough market, even with the rebound. So that might be something we just have to wait on. But I wouldn't be surprised tomorrow if we gap up to like that 55 level, if the market kind of recognizes, wait a second, these were incredible numbers. And maybe it's just not recognizing that right now.
Here's the actual quote from the earnings presentation. Ooh, it's over multiple. But they said that there's several more business areas we expect to begin contributing later this year, including Robinhood Strategies, Robinhood Banking, and our acquisition of Bitstamp in the middle of the year. And that we're incredibly excited about all these new businesses, and that we wouldn't be surprised to see many of these become our next 100 million revenue businesses in the coming year. So, yeah.
I mean, look, guys, I know it sucks to see the stock drop off of a great earnings. We also have to remember Robinhood. How much is it up year to date? Even with the drop right here, it's up 22% year to date. So it's a volatile stock. It has volatile components to it. We're in a volatile market. Market just might not want to give it that premium again, like it did in February, especially given the S&P and where it's trading, right? We might just need more macro level momentum. Remember, last time Robinhood got to 65 or even close to that, S&P was at all-time highs. We're well above 6,000. So this is a bit of a different environment now.
Yeah, dude, I'm not worried at all. Like, this is a great company to hold. You found it at freaking 7, okay? And the entire climb up is not just because the market has gotten better. It's because the execution has been on point continuously. And whether the market is there for them or not in 2025, what do you think that they're going to do with their free time? They're going to be pushing out new products that people want, and products that are outside of traditional markets, meaning diversified revenue, meaning that they can put up big numbers without the market having to show up for them, right? So think banking, think events contracts. These are completely new audiences that don't even want to even be a part of brokerage, We got
a big announcement here in the chat, Tanner. We got big announcement here in the chat. This is one of my good friends. Oh boy. Nate says, I sold out of SoFi and I moved to Hood and NVIDIA.
Crazy.
Nate's been in SoFi for 3 years. So
Wow.
that's a big one for him to officially say, I'm done. I'm out.
I also have an announcement, but it's not. I didn't sell out of SoFi, but since our conversation on Monday,
Are you announcing it right now or no?
Yeah. Why not?
Oh, you're gonna do it?
Should I not?
No. It
Do
was
it.
your decision. You got to do what you got to do.
Or save it for a video.
Well, now everyone's gonna be asking what.
Now your video is going to do great if you say
So
it.
now your video is gonna do great. Yeah. Now people are gonna have to
Yeah,
watch.
don't do it.
No,
Do a video tonight and make that breaking news.
I'll hold it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, no, you're gonna no. I think just tell everybody and everyone say we're
You just
watching
said my video is gonna do great.
Everyone put a W in the chat to say you'll watch the video. Tanner just needs to make sure you'll keep watching.
No.
Here, I'll say something for you as a hint. Tanner is in the process of selling a large chunk of one of his positions.
There you go. Yeah, that's good enough. I don't think you have to say the stock, but that's good. That's fair, guys. That's fair. Tanner's selling.
And it's not SoFi. It's not SoFi.
And it's not SoFi.
You're not. They'd crucify you if I didn't say that.
It's not SoFi.
Oh my! It's a pretty big deal though, so I think he should do it on his own time, not on a Robinhood stream, because there's gonna be so many questions and all this stuff. So
all right, that's fair. That's fair.
That's fair.
Plus, no one cares about him Shift F4 stuff. I'm just kidding. It's not Shift 4 either.
Yeah, it's not Shift 4 either. We got a super chat right here. Earthquake Sim, thank you for the $50 super chat. You all are amazing. I believe everyone in the chat would love a daily live stream from 9:30 to 4 p.m. to cover the next trading session. Thank you for the valuable insights. Is Palantir the next $1 trillion company? First of all, thank you for the $50 super chat. Appreciate it. I think Roy and I would agree. Palantir, it could be a $1 trillion company. I think Tanner might disagree on that. Terms of 9:30 to 4, I mean, it's basically happening every day anyway. Like I take like an hour, 2-hour break. So I think that's what it's going to turn into. So stay tuned for the next year because it'll probably be 8 hours a day at some point. But thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you for being here. And congrats to everyone on Hood, Microsoft, and Meta today. He did not buy Palantir. That is not the announcement. I wish that was the announcement.
Dude, that'll be a good day. I would love to have shares of Palantir. Not at this price. This price is literally like, I go into my brokerage and there's not even a buy button. They won't even let me. They're like, please, sir, like, let's make smart decisions.
Okay, we don't need to talk about Palantir here. Okay, we got May 5th for that.
And we're certainly not talking about taking away buy buttons. Like, don't do that. That's taboo.
Definitely not talking about that. Let's finish up with Dan Ives right here.
So the takeaway here for me, then, from what you're saying, Dan, is whether it's Microsoft, whether it's Meta, it's really how AI is driving growth across these companies' businesses. How key then between today and then with the rest of the hyperscaler and mega cap tech names that we get tomorrow, whether it's Amazon or whether it's Apple, how key then are the comments and the results we get here to sustaining the idea that AI is a secular growth story and thus perhaps, despite macro uncertainty, a defensive story?
Yeah, Morgan, I think that what you heard today on these calls, and I think in terms on the press release and what you're going to hear in the calls, that just speaks so loudly because it shows if there was a time to pull back, they were going to pull back here. They're not. They're doubling down. And I think what it shows is the resiliency of this AI revolution. We've talked about it. I mean, we're only 5% in to what the spending is going to look like here. And we talk about it's $2 trillion that you're ultimately going to see in terms of this AI revolution. Big tech, everyone's looking at the big tech players. And what you heard from them, from digital advertising to hyperscaler to AI to cloud, not pulling back. And if you're a tech bull, I think this is going to put some sort of gasoline in this tech bull rally that I see going into the next few weeks, despite uncertainty when it comes to tariffs and everything we're seeing. It comes down to what they're seeing in the field.
Hardware versus software in this environment. And I realize that there's nuance to that question and that answer, but where would you be putting money to work right now, given the trade and tariff uncertainty?
It's software. Because that's the safety blanket trade in this market. That's the hyperscale. That's where the spending is on the enterprises. We'll hear from Cook and Cupertino tomorrow. I mean, that's a little game of blindfolded darts, right? In terms of tariffs, how that's impacting chips, what that's going to do to prices. You're not seeing that in the hyperscalers. Not seeing that you'll see some uncertainty on enterprise, but you look at what I believe this guidance and what we're going to hear much better than you ever could have expected over the last few weeks. And I think that's going to be the narrative over the coming weeks. Big tech came, they doubled down, and I think, that is about as confident as you can get for AI revolution navigating this tariff called tornado.
Okay, Dan Ives, thanks for joining us. Shares of Microsoft up 6%, Meta up about 3.5% right now. Well, coming up, Mike Santoli returns.
We got about 15 minutes until we get into the call. Again, we are seeing the market just love this after hours momentum. Microsoft right here, still up 7%, Meta up 5, Nvidia breaking 112, which is very nice. I actually had some 120 covered calls that I closed this morning, so not horrible timing on those. And then Palantir, 119.4, up 2.86%. Where's Googs? Googs is up a little bit as well, 0.32. Google had a phenomenal earnings. Market didn't love it. Maybe this will get them to care. And then, wow, Amazon up 2% as well.
Love it. Hopefully they reiterate or even improve CapEx as well. If there's another name that's going to do it, it's 100% Amazon.
Oh yeah, they need those processors. They need the data. They need the AI. Like they're going to scale that, and yeah, Nvidia is going to profit as one of many players. But yes, Nvidia. It's easy money.
I'm pulling up Meta.
For you. Financial advice.
For you.
Yeah, just for me. Over the long term, it feels like that. So
here's Meta. So let's look at them a little bit. DAP 3.43 billion. That's up 6% year over year. Ad impressions up 5%. Average price per ad up 10%. The fact that they can keep monetizing ads is just incredible. Revenue 42 billion, up 16% year over year. Total cost 24 billion. CapEx 13.6. They bought back 13.4 billion in stock, 1.3 billion in divvies, and they have 70 billion in cash. Headcount's about 76,000 right now. CFO says we expect second quarter revenue. They gave guidance. Here you go, 42.5 to 45.5. Our guidance assumes foreign currency is approximately 1% of a tailwind, and full year expenses of 113 to 118 billion. That's actually down about $1 billion from their previous guidance. And then CapEx 64 to 72. They write this updated outlook reflects additional data center investments to support our AI efforts, as well as an increase to the expected cost of infrastructure hardware. The majority of our CapEx in 2025 will continue to be directed to our core business. Yeah, I mean, Meta crushed it as always. Zuck says we've had a strong start to an important year. Our community grows and our business is performing very well. We're making good progress on AI glasses and Meta AI, which now has almost 1 billion monthly actives.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Zuck's a smart dude. He's not pouring a gazillion dollars into, well, let's be more specific, around $70 billion into artificial intelligence without seeing the potential for returns later down the road. And like Dan said, he considers this a $2 trillion infrastructure play, or in terms of total investment going down the line, but it's still so early. Like these are even early predictions. Imagine back in 2015 trying to predict out how big cloud is going to get. Like I just think it's still in the early years and we have to see how it builds out. Right now, I'm excited to follow it. I was going to go on a whole tirade about NVIDIA, but I got to remember what day it is today.
No, well, I want your tirade in a second, but here's Dan Dolev on Robinhood.
On Robinhood, stock moving lower by about 3.25% in overtime, despite beating on the top and bottom lines. Let's bring in Mizuho America's senior analyst Dan Dolev. He's got an outperform rating on the stock. Dan, what's not to like?
I don't see anything that's not to like. I mean, this was one of their best quarters on record, right? You're getting funded accounts are at an all-time high. They beat on revenue, record gold number, record, I think, both quarterly and also on a year-over-year basis. The stock's up 25% year to date. It makes sense to get some air out of it, but I think this is probably just a buying opportunity at this point.
And how much progress are they making on the undergirding things that they need to do so that the numbers look good, even when there isn't all this volatility and crypto isn't doing so well?
I think you hit the nail on the head. This is the most important thing that people are missing about Robinhood. They're looking at a $600 billion TAM, and I've never seen a company that's like more aggressive and actually addressing that TAM, right? $3 billion in revenue now going to probably like 30 in 10 years. They're getting into more territories, to your point. They're getting into Asia. They're getting into Europe. Their product velocity is the best one I've ever seen, right? With Robinhood Gold, with like pretty much every quarter, there's something new. And so I think over time, what you're going to see is they're not going to bifurcate from the volatility, but they're going to fare out better than the volatility.
Yeah, I think the commentary in the release about the fact that they're attracting more high net worth users, more high net worth traders as well, was very telling. I think about it like Interactive Brokers, for example, when it comes to that type of clientele. Are they going after more of those demographics? And if so, is that a more robust customer to have to move through market cycles?
100%, right? So this is exactly the point. They're going after the Schwabs and the Interactive Brokers of the world, and they're doing really, really well. I think if we sat here 3 years ago, everyone thought this was like a joke for millennials, and now people are taking them really seriously, right? And I think their competitors are getting worried about them taking assets away. I think deposits was like 18 billion this quarter. I think that's exactly the strategy. They're growing with their customers, and they're bringing in wealthier customers into the platform.
So you cover fintech more broadly. We've heard from a number of companies over the last couple of days. The ones that have either direct or indirect exposure to consumers, both in the U.S. and abroad, have seemed to me, I think about Visa, for example, or even like a Shift4, have seemed to me to be very constructive, if not cautiously optimistic about the health of the consumer right now, despite all of the uncertainty around trade and softening economic data more broadly. What is your takeaway?
My takeaway is that it's either they're not seeing it yet, or we're just overly worried, right? Because you're looking at all the B2B companies, they're saying uncertainty, they're saying they're worried. And yet, to your point, Visa was very upbeat. Shift4 was very upbeat. So I think that there's a bit of a disconnect here, right? Like Chipotle had a same store sales that were negative for the first time since COVID. So there's a lot of this sort of, either they're not seeing something that's about to happen, or I think that, we're just being overly worried. But thus far, most of the companies that we cover in fintech, which is basically like the broader economy, are way more constructive than what we were fearing heading into Q1 earnings.
Okay, Dan Dolev, great to get your thoughts. Thank you.
Again, he's highlighting product velocity, which all of us continue to be impressed by.
Dan, I think, has an $80 price target on Hood.
Correct.
Yeah. His team, they're smart people, They're trying to find the best fintechs in the market to cover. And yeah. He's bullish on all the ones that I hold. Shift4, SoFi, Robinhood, he loves them all. This
might be also one of the reasons why there's a bit of a sell-off. The adjusted EPS, not the dilutive EPS. It came in softer than. I don't know why TradingView has it at 33 cents. I didn't even look at the adjusted coming in. But that's just because of Trade PMR acquisition, which we already knew finalized. So not really sure why it'd be a surprise, but I guess somebody wasn't paying attention, and maybe Algos caught that as well.
Yeah, they wrote down 18 cents there.
That is weird.
Let's see. It was 18 cents versus 33-cent estimate. A surprise of negative 15 cents.
I don't think it said adjusted. I thought it said diluted EPS.
Oh, actually, you're right. Yeah, let me pull that up because you can see. They just
got it wrong. They got it wrong.
They got it wrong. Because you can see here the prior quarter, that was 101, and that was what it was. Just because of the tax benefit. And so, they just printed the wrong number.
Yeah, the actual is 37, not 33.
Yeah. 37 is not even on there.
Boy, TradingView, do better, and if you're on TradingView, maybe go to Robinhood.
I don't think the stock is dumping for any other reason other than we're in a bull market, kind of, and the market, given Robinhood's trading at this multiple and they're already up 20% year to date, I think they need a little bit more from the macro, not from Hood, to give it the multiple. I think that's what's happening.
Honestly, this is a little sketchy. I don't know if anything was actually intended with this, but it's kind of like when banks will have their analysts analyze SoFi, but do it very, very bearishly.
I don't think there's any. Yeah, there's no sketch here. Like
you'll see it get corrected soon.
I don't think TradingView gives a shit.
We'll see.
I really don't think they care about. That's why when people say, "Oh, JP Morgan wants SoFi to fail," I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? JP Morgan doesn't care about stuff. I know you might believe in that argument. Some people, that argument's ridiculous. JP Morgan is $10 trillion in assets. They don't care about SoFi. So I don't think it's that. I think it's just the thing pumped from the lows in freaking April 8th. And after that big of a pump, I mean, it's going to be hard to keep getting that momentum. Again, in February, everything was at all-time highs. right? So you could accelerate the most high beta names like a Robinhood, like a Palantir, etc. But we're not at all-time highs anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
And so-
Dude, I don't really care what the market does. This is why I said I don't know if it's going to pump or dump. That part is past me. You know, overall, directionally speaking, do I think it's going to pump or dump over time? I mean, come on. If they continue to take on more users and other brokerages are losing users or are losing the total market share out of a percentage of the markets, right? Like Coinbase said they grew in market share, but they grew like 177% or whatever. And Robinhood did like 377%. Okay, well, they're growing faster. You know, they're taking on more users. Those users are switching off of other platforms to go to these newer platforms. They're taking a share of event contracts. BetMGM and all these other platforms, FanDuel, they would love to have those additional contracts that were traded on Robinhood, but they do not have them anymore. Okay? And this is just what's going to continuously happen as more users are going to use the Robinhood platform for more and more sticky reasons. And I think one of the biggest catalysts for that is going to be Robinhood banking. Like Robinhood banking really seals the deal on people needing to use any other platform for any reason. And I think even calling those like $100 million businesses like banking, I think is a real low estimate. I think that's them being conservative. Those could be billion-dollar businesses, you know?
Yeah. Roy, go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing, nodding my head.
Oh, you're sharing the screen. That's why. I do.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me stop doing that.
Roy, what do you think about the buyback? So the 7 million share buyback, I mean, do you think that 500 million that they authorized could be used in a different angle, or you think it's just excess cash that, like, do you think they should be acquiring another company, or do you think they should just be buying back their stock?
I mean, this is clearly not stopping them from acquiring companies. They have Bitstamp, they have Trade PMR. Before that, they had Pluto as well. So I don't think that they're hindered at all from actually being able to do this and acquire companies. And that's actually one of the things that is really interesting is if they get in a situation where there is a bear market in a crypto winter, depending on how bad it is and how long things last, like it's going to hurt the stock and it'll hurt the company too. But long term, it actually sets them up really well because they still will be profitable, I expect, in that situation. They'd have an opportunity to delete a lot of their float. But even more importantly, they have the opportunity to buy companies for pennies on the dollar. And they handle acquisitions very well, integrating them into the Robinhood ecosystem, getting them to profitability very quickly within that. So that's short term, not exciting, but long term, man, it's a great opportunity for a company that has $5 billion on its balance sheet.
Yeah, I'm curious. Do you guys think that like a company like Trade PMR on its own is going to be able to grow assets under administration? Like right now, we finally see a metric there that has 41 billion in it. I'm excited to see how that grows as well. Right now, it's showing no growth because we have nothing to compare it to, but
Right.
that'll be fun to track.
Yeah, that's pretty bearish. No growth in the first month that they have it.
No growth.
Quarter over quarter.
Declining quarter over quarter, total revenue. Sell it.
Roy,
Well-
go ahead, Roy. Go ahead.
I was going to say that's one of those things that they, they've used this a number of times in their investor day. I believe was maybe the first time that I noticed it, at least, and they have it number of times in this slideshow. Global financial ecosystem. That's what they're building, and the ecosystem has a flywheel. And these products like Trade PMR on its own would not be as strong as Trade PMR managed by Robinhood, integrated in this ecosystem. It just wouldn't be. So,
Well, we don't know that yet.
it's very unlikely that it would be. I don't see a way that they're not going to do a PayPal where they just buy something and they forget
could.
that it exists or let it compete with themselves.
Wait, Roy, you're saying it's very unlikely that Trade PMR would grow AUM outside of Robinhood.
Slower outside of Robinhood.
It'll be faster with Robinhood.
I agree with Roy. I think
we
them
don't
being
know.
swallowed up. Roy is 100% correct. That accelerates their ability to get distribution, to get assets.
Yes, but it's the same thing with, like, can we bring back the PayPal example with Braintree? There's a lot of people who actually think that the potential for Braintree would have been better if they never had the parent company of pushing products inside of it that potentially people did not want. So
Yes, but Robinhood is not PayPal. And I say that as a guy that owns both and likes both. But man, if Dan Schulman was in charge of Robinhood right now, I'd be like, oh man, they messed up, sell everything, short this stock, look for a pair trade, get out. But Vlad is not Dan.
Yeah, so I'm not trying to be. Do we know any historical evidence of really great acquisitions that have integrated well?
For
You mean
Robinhood, X1.
yeah,
X1's a good example.
that whole credit card is the also
That's Deepak, right?
yes. But also what's the Say Technologies? That was a great
Yep.
one.
Yeah, well,
That's a
that's
good
not
one.
even that's barely even existent.
Yeah, that Charter, Sherwood News, Sherwood Media, like all those they're not like massive, but I've not seen them have an acquisition where I'm like, oh man, that was dumb in retrospect. I haven't. And until they hit that point, I'm going to continue to be excited with whatever they do acquire because they know how to integrate it well into their ecosystem. They're not siloed at all. They have a very clear vision and trajectory. And a company like that is acquiring, that is cash flow positive, can do some very good things with acquisition. Now, if the only thing they were doing was acquiring companies, I would be concerned as well. But they seem to know like when they can build something and do it better than anybody else, when to partner, and also when to acquire and integrate. And I just trust the management at this point.
Yeah, yeah. I do too.
All right.
I'm just
We got the Hood call in 45 seconds. I know Trump is speaking, but we're not going to be listening to Trump. We're going to be listening to Vlad. If anyone wants to listen to Trump, go ahead. I'm sure whatever he's saying will have an impact. Robinhood's really not having an impact after hours on their stock. So, I mean, I don't know if Trump's going to have a bigger impact on them. But yeah, for those that want to listen to Trump, you can go listen to him. But for the next hour, we'll be here. Roy, Tanner, and I will be asking a question in the Q&A. And, well,
like on the earnings call.
Yeah, on the actual earnings call. It'll be
Be
super
fun.
And we are going to be excited to see Vlad and the team give us their Q1 2025 earnings call. All right. Thank everybody. We're going to be here and we'll see you after the call.
Really quick, if you guys think that there's questions that we should ask that potentially we're not thinking of right now, put them in the chat.
All right. Here we go.
Chair and CEO Vlad Tenev, CFO Jason Warnick, and VP of Corporate Finance and Investor Relations Chris Cagle. Vlad and Jason will offer opening remarks and then open the call to Q&A. During the Q&A portion of the call, we will answer questions from institutional research analysts, and we will also answer questions from retail analysts who may hold an ownership position in Robinhood. As a reminder, today's call will contain forward-looking statements. Actual results could differ materially from our current expectations, and we may not provide updates unless legally required. Potential risk factors that could cause differences, including regulatory developments that we continue to monitor, are described in the press release we issued today, the earnings presentation, and our SEC filings, all of which can be found at investors.robinhood.com. Today's discussion will also include non-GAAP financial measures. Reconciliations to the GAAP measures we consider most directly comparable can be found in the earnings presentation. With that, please welcome Vlad and Jason.
Devant toi, mon cœur se serre. Devant toi.
All right. Hey, everyone. Great to speak with you again today. Thank you for joining us. This is our second live video earnings call. I think the last one hopefully was informative and entertaining, so we're happy to be with you again. If I had to sum up the quarter, what I'm most excited about is the incredible product velocity. And it was across our three focus areas, which, if you remember, are building the #1 platform for active traders, being #1 in wallet share for the next generation, and building the #1 global financial ecosystem. So let's get into it in a little bit more detail. When I look at our active trader offering, it just keeps getting more disruptive. We launched futures and prediction markets in Q1, and futures are accelerating nicely. So about 4.5 million contracts traded in April alone, which is more than all of Q1. So Q1, which was a strong quarter, greatly was accelerated in April. And prediction markets have done over 1 billion contracts in the last 6 months. And we've recently started to increase the breadth of the contracts we offer. So we're still very much in the early stages there. On Robinhood Legend, which if you remember, we announced at Hood Summit late last year and launched fully a few months after that. We've been making a lot of improvements. We've upgraded speed. We've brought in new asset classes like crypto and index options. We've added support for joint accounts, more indicators and charts, and really more features being shipped on a weekly basis. So the team has just been executing incredibly quickly on making Robinhood Legend the best platform for active traders. And all of that has been driving strong incremental volume on the Legend platform. There's actually a lot more to come. The team's already spending a lot of time preparing for the second annual active trader event, which we'll be holding this fall. We're also working to serve far more of our customers' assets. So at our last City of Gold event, just this past March, we announced 3 new products: Robinhood Strategies, Robinhood Cortex, and of course, Robinhood Banking. Pretty awesome that Robinhood Strategies already has over 40,000 customers and over 100 million in assets. So that's gone off to a very rapid start. Robinhood Gold. So when you look at the Gold credit card, we doubled the Gold card holders to 200K just in the past few weeks, and we love what we're seeing. We know that there's a ton of excitement about getting the credit card from customers. We see it on social media and in the questions, and we're excited to accelerate the rollout from here. So already doubled, and it's going to continue. Retirement assets, they're now up to 16 billion, which is up about 20% just from the start of the year. And we closed the acquisition of Trade PMR, which was bringing over 40 billion of platform assets to Robinhood. So a lot of progress on wallet share. And on global financial ecosystem, this is our 10-year arc. We continue to make the UK brokerage offering better and better, and we're working on launching in Asia. So excited about that. Bitstamp acquisition still on track to close mid-year, and we're heads down getting things ready for the crypto event, which will be in France in 2 months. So we're very excited about that. There's going to be some new things unveiled. And wrapping it all up, as a result of the strong product velocity, we saw strong business results as well. Revenues up 50% year over year. Trading volumes all up double digits year over year, including a record quarter for options trading. Record net deposits as well, 18 billion of net deposits in the quarter. So I'm glad to see the strategies working. Customers are not only trading more with us, but they're entrusting us with more of their assets. Gold subscribers nearly doubling year over year to 3.2 million as of the end of the quarter, and actually now 3.3 million in April. And that's a 12% plus adoption rate overall. But if you look at new customers who joined Robinhood in Q1, about 1 in 3 became Gold subscribers relatively quickly. And we look on international, that's continuing to accelerate. We are now up to over 150,000 international customers, and that's just going to keep going and going. So we feel great about our product velocity and the business results that it's driving. I'll turn it over to you, Jason, to talk through financials, and then we'll go straight to Q&A.
Okay, thanks, Vlad. Q1 was another quarter of profitable growth as revenues grew 50% year over year and EPS more than doubled. Our focus on profitable growth drove 72% incremental margins as adjusted EBITDA margin expanded by 11 points from a year ago. And over the past 12 months, revenues reached 3.3 billion and adjusted EBITDA was 1.7 billion as we continue to grow and diversify our business. It's also great to see momentum continuing into the second quarter. April net deposits are around 6.5 billion. Equities trading is a 4-year high. Options are in the zone of an all-time high, and crypto trading is north of 8 billion. Also, margin balances are about 8.4 billion, which is up 2x from last year. I'm pleased with our customers' continued engagement. It's driven by a greater share of active traders who tend to stay resilient through volatility, continued market share gains, and diversification into newer areas like Robinhood Legend, advisory, futures, and index options. Let's take a closer look at our Q1 financials compared to a year ago. Q1 revenues were $927 million, driven by strong growth across the board. Transaction volumes increased by double digits across all categories, including up 84% year over year in equities, and we saw record options volume in the quarter. Interest earning assets and securities lending activity continued to grow, more than offsetting short-term rates, and other revenues grew as gold subscriptions reached new highs. We also stayed disciplined on expenses, leading to 51% adjusted EBITDA margins. In Q1, adjusted OPEX and SBC was $533 million, in the middle of our updated full-year outlook range on a quarterly basis. As we previously announced, we anticipate approximately $85 million of costs from trade PMR in 2025. So we updated our full-year outlook for adjusted OPEX and SBC to $2.085 to $2.185 billion. As a reminder, this outlook does not include costs from our anticipated acquisition of Bitstamp or provisions for credit losses. Let's talk for a moment about how we're diversifying our business. You've heard me say that we have 9 businesses that each generate over $100 million in annualized revenues, nearly double the number we had just a couple years ago. And I'm excited to say we have many more that are quickly scaling. For example, we've recently launched 3 new products: futures, index options, and prediction markets, where the ARR for each of them individually is already around 20 million. And with the addition of trade PMR, we've added a business that has a $50 million run rate and a nice track record for growth. And there's several more businesses that we recently announced and expect to begin contributing later this year, including Robinhood Strategies, Robinhood Banking, and our acquisition of Bitstamp in the middle of the year. So we're incredibly excited about all these new businesses, and I like our opportunity to build many of them into additional $100 million revenue businesses in the coming years. I also want to give an update on our share repurchase program. You'll recall we began executing on our $1 billion share repurchase plan in Q3 last year, with target completion over 2 to 3 years. Since then, we've moved faster and have deployed over $650 million at an average price of $33 per share. This includes over $300 million of buybacks in Q1, which more than offsets share issuance for trade PMR. Given our strong performance and positive outlook, our board has increased the authorization by $500 million, taking the program up to a total of $1.5 billion. We expect to deploy the remaining $800 million plus over roughly the next 2 years, but we're keeping flexibility to accelerate if market conditions warrant. So we feel great about our business and financial results and remain focused on driving another year of profitable growth in 2025. We're continuing to work to maximize earnings per share and free cash flow per share over time. With that, Chris, let's move to Q&A.
All right. Thank you, Jason. For the Q&A session, we'll start by answering the top few questions from Say Technologies ranked by the number of votes. We passed over questions that we were already addressed on this call or in prior quarters and grouped together questions that shared a common theme. After the Say questions, we'll turn to live questions from our analysts. So let's kick it off with our first question from Say. Patrick asks, what is Robinhood doing to accelerate credit cards and checking accounts to their Gold members?
Thanks for the questions. I'll start with the Gold card and maybe turn it over to you, Vlad, for banking. As I've mentioned, it's really important for us to study customer behavior as we roll out the card. We've been doing that and have increased the number of cardholders from 100,000 to over 200,000 just in Q1. So far, what we're seeing in terms of customer behavior is in line with our expectations, so we feel good. And we plan to continue increasing the number of cardholders throughout the year. But along the way, we're going to continue to be measured in the near term. Vlad?
Thanks, Jason. Yeah, on the banking side, so we announced at the Lost City of Gold event back in March, Robinhood Banking. And the philosophy behind this product is that we want to build a compelling banking experience for the top of market. So if you're someone who's a high net worth individual with more assets, we wanted to provide a digital banking experience where you would feel like you're not making compromises relative to your brick and mortar bank. And I don't think any digital bank has taken that approach. So we're extremely excited. We've been testing the product internally. It's looking really good. I think you're gonna like it. And at the event, we announced rolling out to the public in Q3, and we feel good about that date. So stay tuned. The team's been working incredibly hard.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, Vlad. The next question is from Nico, who asks, when will users be able to invest in private companies such as SpaceX?
Yeah. So this is actually one of our top policy priorities. We believe that it's actually quite crazy that, you know, customers can't invest in private companies, given that private companies are staying private longer. The days of, you know, a Microsoft going public at a multi-hundred million market cap, or Apple at relatively low market caps, and you being able to take advantage of a lot of the appreciation in public markets, they're fewer and far between. Now you have companies like OpenAI and SpaceX still private and in valuations of hundreds of billions. So those gains are accruing to a smaller and smaller group of insiders. We have the technology to do this. And in fact, I wrote in an op-ed for the Washington Post that you know, tokenizing private equities is a huge unlock, both for individuals, but also for these companies and for crypto technology, which can actually solve a lot of the problems in secondary market transactions that have been tried thus far. What's needed is comprehensive security legislation in the US, and also for us to rethink the accredited investor rules, which shut out north of 80% of the public currently. So both of those we're making progress on. We're in active discussions. There's definitely a willingness from the administration and lawmakers to engage in these issues. So stay tuned, but we believe we're going to make progress here.
Great. Thank you, Vlad. And then the last question is from Paul, who asks, when will Robinhood offer 401k plans to businesses?
Yeah, thanks, Paul. Our 10-year arc, our long-term arc, is to build the #1 global financial ecosystem. And what that means is expanding our business from retail only, which it pretty much is now, to also serving businesses and institutions, and also expanding from primarily US to being a full global platform serving customers everywhere, regardless of whether they're individual retail businesses or institutions. And so when we look at that B2B opportunity, we think businesses and institutions have fundamentally similar needs in many ways to retail. The things that we're building, the innovations we're building for retail, things like 24-hour trading, rock bottom margin rates, also appeal to institutions and businesses. And there's so many opportunities. 401k administration for businesses is one. You also look at things like employee stock plan administration for public companies. You look at institutional prime brokerage, and of course, serving registered investment advisors, which we're now getting into through Trade PMR. And we think that's an enormous opportunity to serve businesses. If we look at registered investment advisors, it's a business that has an additional layer of compounding. So not only are we taking advantage of the great wealth transfer, where young people are going to be making more and more money over time, we're getting more customers, but as we get more advisors, that's a third layer of asset growth. So for the near term, we're working really hard to integrate the Trade PMR team and technology, build a great experience serving registered investment advisors. We want to make sure we stay super focused and we don't take on too much. So that's been our B2B focus for the near term. But over the long term, we do think 401k is a sizable opportunity that we'd be excited to tackle alongside all the other things in our 10-year arc.
Great. All right. Thank you, Vlad. That concludes our shareholder questions from Say Technologies. Now we will open the call to Q&A. We ask that each person limit themselves to one question and return to the queue if they would like to ask a follow-up. To enter the queue, please press *11 on your phone. And if you'd like to leave the queue, please press *11 again. The first question comes from Chris Allen at Citi. Chris?
Yeah, afternoon, guys. Appreciate the question. The health of the retail customers is a big focus in the current environment. I was wondering if you could peel back or provide some additional color on April. Metrics you provided were very solid. Curious if margin balances kind of improved towards the back half of the month, whether you've seen net new account openings and the strong deposit numbers. Are those coming from existing customers or new customers to?
Hey, Chris, thanks. It's Jason. I'll take it. And Vlad, feel free to add in. So we saw incredibly strong engagement across the board, not just in Q1, but it continued into April, as we said. And it was throughout the month of April. So I wouldn't say it was front loaded or back loaded. It was really a strong month in total. We're seeing strong additions, as Vlad alluded to Robinhood Gold. And you know, the strength in net deposits is pretty diverse. And what's different about us today than perhaps a few years ago is there's just a lot more options for customers to place their assets, whether it's the growth in retirement, the nascent growth in strategies, certainly brokerage. We're also seeing it go into crypto. So I'd say that there's a pretty broad-based strength of retail engagement that we're seeing, and all signs are positive throughout the month of April.
Yeah, the only thing I'd add to that is, unlike where the business was back in 2022, where we were predominantly focused on novice investors, the new focus on being the best platform for active traders has made us more resilient in times like these, because we used to just not have a lot of mechanisms for customers that were more sophisticated, that wanted to trade sideways or declining markets. They just couldn't engage in that super easily on Robinhood. But just recently we've launched futures, and as we shared, futures had a very, very significant growth in April, with over 4.5 million contracts traded, outright contracts. We've rolled out an amazing experience for multi-leg options trading on mobile, the side-by-side chain, which will make it easier for advanced traders to engage in the multi-leg strategies. And Robinhood Legend continues to grow and get better. So now we have multiple mechanisms for these active traders to engage no matter what the market environment is in. So even though we're diversifying the business with 9 business lines of over 100 million, and we're getting less reliant upon trading in the revenue mix, even within trading, it's becoming more resilient. So I think we're very excited about that, and there's still more to come.
Great. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Vlad. The next question is from Dan Dolev from Mizuho.
Hey, guys. Hey, Jason. Hey, Vlad. Great quarter as always. Very impressive. Really quick, looks like Robinhood Gold is doing really, really well. And hopefully I didn't miss and it was already addressed. But, this seems to be growing way faster than we had expected. What should we be thinking about in terms of the trajectory of the growth here? Because it seems to be, I think you had 550,000 quarter over quarter increase this quarter. So maybe just some color on how big it could be and just the velocity there, which seems to be very impressive. Thank you.
Yeah. Maybe I'll share some higher level thoughts. Jason, feel free to add in. Yeah, our aspiration, I already think Robinhood Gold is the best deal in financial services. But I think the aspiration is to actually make it on par with the best membership loyalty programs out there. So we're not just looking at financial services as a benchmark. And in reality, these types of products are, until we came along, relatively unique in our industry. But we're looking at things like the Costco membership. Amazon Prime is an inspiration. And we're really sort of like students of this. And I think that the improvements that we've made in day one and Q1 attach rate, which have been tremendous, are just the beginning. I think that when you keep hearing how crazy high of a value gold is, and why we don't raise the price, not just from analysts but also customers, I think we feel very good. We're on the right track, and credit card is continuing to roll out. That's in the relatively early stages. Banking, which is going to be a gold only product, that's looking really, really good. So as far as we can see, the gold roadmap is looking very solid.
Great. All right. The next question is from Devin Ryan at Citizens.
Hey, Vlad. Hey, Jason. How are you?
Hey, Devin.
Want to ask a question on crypto, specifically, seeing a little bit of a pullback, record fourth quarter, and we know, that was kind of particularly elevated. But would love to just get a little bit of color from what you're seeing or hearing from customers there, because it's still very active. And I know you're going to have the update in June, so I don't want to completely front run it. But at the same time, I'm curious kind of the level of urgency to do more as this industry is getting unlocked. We're hearing more about kind of a race on stable coins, and so just love to kind of get a sense of how hard you guys are pushing there, and then also just the engagement from customers, just given that we're off the highs a little bit. Thanks.
Yeah. So, I mean, crypto had an awesome quarter. We had about 260 million in revenue for the quarter, which was the second highest quarter in recent years. Last quarter obviously was higher than that, but it's going to go up and down in terms of trading volumes. But what we like to look at is market share. And if industry volumes are going down, but market share is going up for Robinhood, and we're continuing to unlock and add more selection and add more products, we feel like we're doing very, very well. So the team has been cranking. There have been a slew of improvements, both for traders and coming down the pike, but more selection, smart exchange routing, and the team's been executing a lot, and there's so much to do. So we're excited for the June event, but I'd also tell you, we're diversifying the business outside of the crypto business, which will make us less reliant on crypto transaction volumes. But also within crypto, there's going to be diversification over time. So crypto itself will diversify and be less reliant on transaction volumes in the future.
Great. Thanks, Vlad. The next question is from Roy at Crossroads.
Roy.
Hi, guys. Thanks for taking my question. I really enjoyed getting that early look at Robinhood strategies and seeing what that platform is about and what you guys have been building. And I'm curious if you could give us any early read on that product as far as how it's being approached by customers, how many are actually looking at that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we shared earlier, over 40,000 customers already, over 100 million in assets on strategies. I'm sure you've seen, some of the engagement on social, customers sharing their portfolios and talking about how, despite sort of like the volatility of the times we're in, product's been holding up very, very well. So it's continuing to grow. We're adding more and more features based on demand, but early read has been tremendously positive from the customers that have it.
Thanks, Vlad. The next question is from Patrick Moley at Piper.
Yeah, good evening. Thanks for taking the question. So I wanted to touch on the futures offering again. You mentioned that you've seen 4.5 million contracts traded in April, so it sounds like that's picking up pretty nicely. So just curious where that volume's coming from. Is that existing customers? Are you finding that you're winning customers from other brokerage platforms there? And then any specific commentary that you can give on, whether there's specific products or specific asset classes that you're finding your customers are migrating to. Thanks.
Yeah. So I think it's a little bit early to give you sort of like the full read, but we're seeing good signs of these volumes being incremental, actually. And the reason we can tell is we look at a lot of our futures traders, they also are trading equities and other assets. And you're actually seeing the power of having multiple assets in one platform shine through there. And really, the thing that futures allows customers to do, easy ability to take short positions, which we still don't have equity shorting. While that's coming, it's sort of an outlet for that type of advanced systematic trading. We have the ladder, and we also have those markets trading around the clock. So it's really opening up new behaviors and new styles of trading for our active traders. So that's I think why it's seen such good adoption. Plus the product experience that the team, the futures team, has built. They've done a really nice job, particularly on the mobile ladder. And there's more to do. Futures on Legend, for example, and making it available also to outside the U.S. as we continue to expand there.
Great. The next question is from Craig Siegenthaler at Bank of America.
Thanks. Good afternoon, everyone. So my question is on Cortex. Are you going to charge for this product, or is it offered, or will it be offered for free to your Gold subscribers? And is the launch planned towards the end of the year, 4Q25?
For Cortex?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd like to. I think we'd like to get it a little bit before then. Teams have been working hard to get that out, and Cortex is that what you saw announced in the Lost City of Gold events, just the beginning. So we announced Cortex for stock digest that'll help customers answer the question of what's going on with the stock. Also Trade Builder, which will help customers execute on an options trading strategy given a viewpoint and a selection of a particular stock. And it'll be for Gold subscribers. So right now, no plans to charge additional fee. We want to give this technology to our Gold customers. And you should see it actually permeating the entire Robinhood experience. So this is just the start, but we're already thinking about how to integrate it more deeply into flows for active traders across different platforms. And also, we're continuing to make progress improving the operations of the company and also the customer service through AI. So while maybe that's less overt, it's incredibly powerful because it gives customers resolution, really effective resolution whenever they run into issues.
Great. The next question is from James Yarrow at Goldman Sachs.
Good afternoon, and thanks for taking my question. Vlad, I want to ask a longer-term crypto one for you. We've now seen all three U.S. banking regulators shift their posture to allow them to participate in the crypto ecosystem. What role do you expect U.S. banks to play across both retail and wealth versus institutional crypto? And what does this mean for competition and pricing in the U.S. crypto markets?
Yeah. I would just put out there, I like our positioning. It's always hard to speculate on what, competitors may or may not do before they have products in market. And we're focused on driving innovation here. So obviously we've done well on the trading side. We think crypto is interesting as a foundational technology that could actually improve a wide variety of financial services, not just spot crypto trading. So we think we're just in the early innings of having this technology permeate the financial system. And, we're excited to see what not just we bring to market, but what others can do partnering with us and just independently as well.
I think as more competitors enter the market, it makes crypto more mainstream, which makes the market bigger. And I think we've been demonstrating our ability to take market share. So I really like our competitive position.
Thank you. The next question is from Amit at Amit is Investing.
Hey, Vlad. Hey, Jason. Congrats
Hey.
again on a great quarter. My question here is on the promotion you guys ran for the 2% match in March. Jason, I know you said you've loved the unit economics on these matches. Can you give us a little bit of insight on the types of customers you brought over in March, and if you think the 2% match is sustainable to continue bringing over more of the wealthier clients? Thanks, guys.
You bet. So first of all, incredible engagement by customers, record level of net deposits. The promotions were not the majority of that. In fact, they were in Q1 less than 15%. Customers love it. We love it. And you're right, Amit. I love the economics of it. The payback periods are really attractive, consistently below, across all of our promotions, below the clawback periods on that. In terms of the kinds of customers that we're getting large customers. The average customer transfer per user was $90,000 overall. So we're getting large customers. And then what's really interesting is for taxable accounts, because we had taxable and non-taxable promotions. For taxable accounts, it was double that. So over $180,000 average ACAT transfer in for the promotion. So we really love these promotions. We like the customers that we're getting, and they tend to have larger balances.
Thanks, Jason. The next question is from Matt O'Neill at FT Partners.
Yeah, thanks so much for taking my question. I joined a little bit late, so apologies if this has already been discussed, but I was just curious around crypto pricing. It seems like things are moving in the direction that they have been for a number of quarters now. Maybe you could just discuss kind of where that stands as far as the experimentation that continues, as well as I believe there's some further experimentation going on with volume-based pricing. Thanks.
Yeah. You want to hit that, Jason?
Sure. I mean, we're continuing to experiment. We've been seeing the take rates, come up, sequentially for several quarters now. What I'd say is when we look at take rates for crypto for the month of April, it's in a similar zone to where we were at in Q1. I do think the big opportunity for us on experimenting is tiered pricing. While Robinhood has really attractive pricing on average, I think that there's a big opportunity for us for the highest volume traders of crypto to get a better price from Robinhood, and that's what we're really experimenting with. And we like what we're seeing so far, but we're still pretty early in those experiments.
All right. Thanks, Jason. The next question is from Brian Bedell at Deutsche Bank.
Thanks. Good afternoon, guys. Maybe just going back to the net deposits in March and the continued traction in April on the actual active trader mix within those net deposits. So you talked about the 180,000 average balance on the taxable side. Either Jason or Vlad, can you talk about what you're seeing from active traders coming into the complex and the usage on Legend? I think the last time you quoted that was about a $50 million run rate. I don't know if there's an update to that, and maybe just talk about the plans for Legend as we roll out through the year.
Maybe I'll start, Vlad, and then you can kind of fill in. So last quarter we said $50 million ARR. We didn't update it this quarter. We'll just update that periodically. But I can tell you that we've seen strong growth sequentially in volumes through Legend as active traders continue to adopt and engage with the product, and as we continue to Legend. One thing that's really nice is that when we look at incrementality, the vast majority of the volumes that are coming through Legend are incremental. So that's super encouraging.
Yeah, and in terms of roadmap for Legend throughout the year, rounding out the feature set. So futures on Legend is oft requested. Customers want to see the ladder, which they love on mobile on Legend as well. And then continuing to refine and improve the active trader experience and also the live streamer experience. So we've added a bunch of new widgets, snapshot, to make live streaming on Legend better and better. So the velocity of this team continues to be really, really strong, and we've got more in store even prior to the active trader event in the latter half of the year.
Great. The next question is from Ben Budish at Barclays.
Hi, good evening, and thanks for taking the question. I was wondering if you could, Jason, if you could talk a little bit more about what you're seeing on the credit side. I'm particularly curious about your expectations for credit loss provisioning for the year. I know it's a hard one to model and probably a hard one to guide to. I think in the last quarter you said it should run maybe like around like the $20 million range. It came in a little bit higher than that, which I'm sure is somewhat in response to the the changing macro backdrop. But how are you thinking about how should we be thinking about that line, and any other color and you can provide in terms of credit behavior? Are people using this card as a are they accruing balances? Are they maximizing for points? What sort of activity are you seeing? How do you think about sort of managing credit risk in this environment? Thank you.
Yeah, sure. So first of all, we really like what we're seeing, from our customers. Delinquency rates, write-offs are all, very, very low and in line with our expectations. And when we look at broader industry data, there's nothing that we're seeing that's particularly concerning. That said, we're continuing to have, pretty tight underwriting standards so that we build a book of business that can be resilient regardless of the backdrop. In terms of the provision for credit losses this quarter, I'd actually point you to on the brokerage side, not on the credit card side. We had a step up in some brokerage-related losses, not related to margin book, but more kind of fraud related. Teams all over it, not something I'm worried about. But in terms of the gold card, we like what we're seeing in terms of the customer behavior. We are seeing a nice ramp in the revolve rates, which is in line with our expectations. And customers are engaging with the card in a variety of ways, using it for all types of purchases. And they're certainly enjoying the 3% rewards on the card. So far so good. We continue to hold the path. We added 100,000 cardholders in Q1, and we intend to continue to add cardholders throughout the year. In terms of the expectations for provision, I would expect it to just increase gradually through the year as we roll out more cards.
Yeah, and product experience for the credit card app keeps getting better and better, and it's going to continue to improve, particularly when it becomes the banking app. So we're excited for that in the coming months.
Excellent. All right. The next question is from Alex Markgraf at KeyBank.
Hey, Vlad. Hey, Jason. Thanks for taking my question. Jason, maybe one for you on just sort of taking all of these new products together and understanding that there might be some yield differential, if you will, or an advisory and things like that. Could you just sort of speak to contribution margin and how you manage that line as you launch and scale new products at different price points, different monetization levels?
Yeah, absolutely. Every business that we go into has different economic characteristics. Some might have lower return on assets. Some might be more monetized just directly from trading activity. What I would tell you is that what we're trying to optimize for over time is just increasing earnings per share and free cash flow per share. And I think as a technology company, we're incredibly well positioned to serve a variety of different businesses with a variety of different economic characteristics at a really low incremental cost. And that's leading to pretty high incremental margins. You can see this kind of in our overall business as we're growing revenue much, much faster than our bottom line costs. So we're seeing really nice leverage and 100% increase year over year in earnings per share. So we feel really good about just continuing to stay focused on the customer, our three priorities of number one in active traders, number one in wallet share for the next generation, and number one in global financial ecosystem. And if we think if we stay focused on the customer and keep our primary financial lens on growth of earnings per share, we're heading in the right direction.
Thanks, Jason. The next question is from John Todaro at Needham.
Hey guys, thanks for taking my question. It's on prediction markets. So 1 billion traded over the last 6 months. Does that basically leave us with 500 million or so that was outside the November election? And then any sense how much was kind of March Madness or sports related versus other events?
Yeah, that's right. I'll be happy to field that one. So out of the 1 billion contracts traded, yeah, just less than half of that has been sports, and that's March Madness, but we also had the Masters, and now there's NHL and NBA contracts as well. So yeah, the plan is still continue making the product better. Now that we have so many contracts, discoverability and organization, something that the team's looking at. And we think that this is an incredibly powerful nascent asset class. And you should see more and more contracts and a wide variety of contracts over time. So we love what we're seeing. And it's so early that the potential of this is vast.
All right. The next question is from Tanner at Future Investing.
Hey guys, great quarter. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you. How you doing?
Okay, perfect. Doing great. Within the new verticals like you guys have with event contracts and credit cards, are you guys attracting new users onto the platform without simply going to brokerage first? Any insights on that? And if they're upgrading to gold or eventually cross-selling to other products would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a mix. I think what you typically see to begin with is, we like to test it among existing users, particularly the most active users tend to be, the earliest to adopt. And we have a large install base of north of 25 million funded accounts, which I think has been a huge differentiator for us relative to other businesses launching products. So we have lots of channels where customers can discover products, different cross-sell surfaces in product, and also marketing activities and referral activities. So depending on the product, we use one or multiple of those. And credit card's a little bit unique because that one top of funnel has been relatively easy. As you know, there's about 3 million on the wait list, and we're rolling it out rapidly. But our thesis that that by offering a great product experience with great economics, we wouldn't have to pay the gigantic cost of customer acquisition that the incumbents have gotten used to paying seems to be bearing out. So we're excited about that.
I would just add that Robinhood Gold does play a pretty important part in this. When you become a Robinhood Gold customer, you bring in more balances, you deposit at a higher rate, and importantly, on the cross-sell point, you're much more likely to adopt more products. And so take retirement accounts as an example, you're like 4x more likely as a Gold customer versus an average customer to have a retirement account. And so I think, and they have 5 times the assets. And so, being a Gold customer is kind of central to our strategy for cross-sell. And then as we continue to offer new and interesting products, our customers are discovering them at a faster rate.
Thanks, Jason. The next question is from Brett Knobloch at Cantor.
Hi, Vlad and Jason. This is Thomas Shinsky on for Brett Knobloch. Thank you for taking my question and congrats on another great quarter.
Thanks, Tom.
I just wanted to touch on the launch of the routing for crypto traders. I know we've touched a little bit on crypto pricing here, but I just wanted to see how adoption has been amongst traders for the smart exchange routing and how we should think about the impact on your blended crypto take rate over the next few quarters as adoption for this new product grows.
Yeah, it's still early. It's in the relatively early stages of rolling out, and we're experimenting with it. So far, results look good. In particular, for the active traders that are engaging with the order book directly through tools like Legend or even on mobile, they want to be able to interact with the order book and see the price. And it also gives us the ability, as Jason mentioned earlier, to give preferential pricing to customers that trade more. So overall philosophy is, as you bring more and more of your activity to Robinhood, whether that means crypto trading activity if you're an active trader or just assets, the experience should get even better for you. So that's kind of the long-term goal. The more of your activity, the more of your assets you bring to Robinhood, and the longer you are with us, the better the experience gets. And I don't think that's actually universal. Most other financial services products are the opposite. They kind of get worse for you the more money you have. Yeah, stay tuned, but that's kind of where crypto is headed. I think in the future there will be more customization and pricing depending on your activity and sort of your engagement with the overall Robinhood platform.
And I would just add that I don't think that tiered pricing necessarily means a lower blended rate. I think the big opportunity is bringing in volumes, trading volumes that are today not coming to Robinhood. And so we'll have to see how that plays out. As we mentioned, it's small today, and April take rates are in line with what we saw in Q1.
All right. The next question is from Edward Engel at Compass Point.
Hi, thanks for taking my question. Most of my questions have been asked already, but I just wanted to touch on trade PMR. You talked about 85 million of incremental costs for this year. I guess as we kind of exit the year of 2026, what does kind of that core run rate cost basically look like? Is there any opportunities for savings there?
Yeah, I would just say that in that 85 is including deal related costs. So we have an opportunity to take that number down, particularly by next quarter, even as we move forward.
Okay. The next question is from Kyle Voigt at KBW.
Hey, good evening. Maybe another question on crypto, but on the regulatory side. Last quarter, you noted that more regulatory clarity was needed to offer crypto staking. I just wanted to get an update on that and really wondering whether you'd be satisfied with guidance from the SEC, or do you need to see a more comprehensive crypto market infrastructure bill or regulatory framework passed to get comfort there? And then in terms of the comprehensive kind of crypto bill, was there anything proposed in the prior FIT 21 digital asset bill that would cause or necessitate any material changes to your current operating model for crypto more broadly?
Yeah, we don't see anything that's concerning with regards to the crypto operating model, but there are opportunities. I think the big opportunity is clarity on listing crypto asset securities and actually not just for brokers to be able to list these assets, but also for issuers to issue these assets. I think that will unlock a ton of economic value for the crypto industry in the US. So that's been kind of our primary policy objective in Washington when it comes to crypto. I think it's been good in the sense like not having a regulation by enforcement posture has been a boon to the industry, but now we have an opportunity to go further and make this technology useful to everyday people and to institutions in a real big way. So that's kind of what we're working towards in Washington.
Great. The next question is from Evan at Stock Market News.
My question, congrats to the entire team on a fantastic quarter. I want to talk a little bit more about, you guys are adding a bunch of new products and features and business lines. I want to ask a little bit about time spent on the app and users' minutes and if you guys have seen any changes and if that's something you guys are watching and optimizing for.
Yeah, great question. We've traditionally done very, very well on those types of metrics. I mean, people find the Robinhood app very engaging, despite the fact that we don't spend a ton of time or efforts driving that. The efforts are all on making great products, making sure that customers retain really well and build a great product experience. And, more recently, driving gold subscription, the retention of gold subscribers. So really thus far, the focus has been on making it easy for customers to get in, making it easy for them to adopt the gold subscription, And once they have gold, sort of like facilitating them seeing the value across all of the products that are on the platform, and then making sure we uphold the commitment to having a great product experience throughout the journey. Not to say that there aren't opportunities, and we're actually investing more in building out our related teams there on the growth and the marketing side. But yeah, thus far it's been focused on making sure the products are really, really high quality and customers are experiencing tremendous value from using that, and Robinhood Gold in particular.
One of the things I'm excited about is the potential for Cortex to make the app even that much more engaging throughout a day. So looking forward to seeing the team execute on that one.
Great. The next question is from Ken Worthington at JP Morgan.
Question and squeezing me in. I'd love to get some better insights into sort of the event and prediction market business. Are these participants more like your equity, option, or crypto customers today? What sort of penetration would you expect in the prediction markets of these customers over time? And then do prediction market customers have sort of higher or lower velocity than the other segments of your business? Are these like super active, or are they, more or less active? Like, where do they fit into the, continuum of your customers?
Yeah, I think the great thing about this business, about the prediction markets business, is it appeals to a broad range of customers, and we actually see very, very different behaviors even within prediction markets when you talk about different contracts. So, for example, the group of customers that engages with the economic prediction markets is not the same group of customers that engages with the masters, for instance. And so many of young people who are our customer base love sports and love following news and current events. So actually what you see is like pretty wide dispersion. Yeah, it's not like, other assets where if you're an options trader, a number of options traders are, coming and primarily engaging with that. You see these customers engaging in a wide spectrum of assets and sort of like trading activity quite broad and varied among the rest of our products.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thanks, Ken.
All right. The next question is from Steven Chubak at Wolfe.
Hi, good afternoon, and thanks for squeezing me in here. Jason, you typically provide near-term guidance on NII, and I was hoping you could speak to where you expect NII to land in 2Q based on spot or current balances, and with 4 cuts reflected in the forward curve. Might be helpful if you could provide an updated sensitivity to interest rate cuts.
Yeah, thank you, Stephen. So we didn't provide specific guidance for NII. What I'd tell you is that when we look at the effect, again, just isolating for a 25 basis point cut, the impact would be on a standalone basis about $50 million as a headwind. Now, when we look at, over the last year, the rates have come down quite a bit, yet we have grown our interest earning assets at a pace that has outpaced the effect of dropping rates. And so it's a little misleading to just hold everything constant and say 50 million. So we're continuing to gather assets from customers, and we've seen a really nice growth in interest earning assets. And then I know you've heard me say many times, we also believe that we've got a really nice natural hedge between interest rates and trading. So as rates come down, there's an expectation that we have that trading would go up and provide a nice offset to any impact there.
All right. The next question is from Mike Cyprys at Morgan Stanley.
Hey, good afternoon. Thanks for squeezing me in here as well. Just a question on 24/5 markets. I was hoping you could talk about the traction that you're seeing from clients in your overnight sessions, how that's contributing today, and talk about some of the steps that you're taking to drive greater customer uptake of this. And if you look out 3 to 5 years, what does success look like here for your 24/5 markets? What portion of equities options volume do you think this could represent for Robinhood?
Yeah, I mean, 24-hour market is continuing to grow. Obviously, you see bursts of engagement when macro events are happening after hours or on weekends, and there you see it in 24-hour market first. And I think you're seeing it become a standard. So probably 5 years from now, you're not really going to be talking about 24-hour market and sort of like core market. It'll become table stakes for any platform servicing active traders to offer this type of feature and to kind of follow us in there. I think you're going to see the exchanges offer it as well. So it'll be an anomaly for something to not be available on 24-hour market. I think it becomes even more imperative when you start looking at international expansion. As we get into Europe and Asia, where there's less and less overlap with U.S. East Coast working hours, that's just going to be another tailwind for increased volumes and adoption. But I think the long-term trend is 24/7 for every tradable asset.
All right. And then the last question is a follow-up from James Yarrow at Goldman Sachs.
Thanks for taking the follow-up. I just want to touch on Bitstamp. When the deal is closed, could you just help us think about what that acquisition could mean for the way you route your crypto orders in terms of internalization as well as the crypto take rate? And obviously recognizing the deal will add institutional volumes, so that could pressure the blended take rate if you don't break that out. But so maybe if you could just isolate the impact on your retail crypto take rate.
Yeah, we're very excited about Bitstamp, the oldest and longest running crypto exchange out there. So that makes Robinhood the oldest and longest continuously running crypto exchange, which is very exciting. Still middle of year for close. I don't want to front run any specific announcements on what we're going to do, but what I'll tell you is institutional is a big opportunity for us. We're obviously not really in that space yet, but we see a lot of opportunity, and also international. Bitstamp has a global presence. Crypto is increasingly global. We're going to do more and more there. And in terms of customer execution quality, at the end of the day, the goal is to give customers choice and to provide a great execution experience. And Bitstamp certainly will play a role in that. We think it just gives us another lever to give our active traders more ways to execute their orders.
Okay. Well, that concludes the Q&A portion of our call. Before we end the call, Vlad, I'll turn it back to you for any closing comments.
Yeah, I mean, just want to say thank you guys for joining us again. Second live video earnings call. I think we're going to continue to do it. I think they're going to get better and better. But really, we've got a lot of work to do. It's going to be a busy year. The roadmap is incredibly full. So thank you for being on this journey with us and for listening, and to the analysts and investors, retail and institutional, who continue to engage with the company. So we're by no means slowing down. It's going to be a busy year for us, and looking forward to seeing many of you at the France crypto event.
Boom, baby.
Boom.
There we go. Roy's going to join. His audio got cut off. He'll be back. He has to leave in 5 minutes, but he'll give some thoughts. That was a long one, but Tanner, you like that they took that many questions?
Dude, yeah. Yeah, I mean, good companies don't have anything to hide behind. I'll let Roy take over, though, because he's time constrained.
Yeah, I mean, that was amazing. Out of any company that I follow very closely, and I'll have to pay attention to Nubanks to see if they outdo it because they have a long call. They answered a lot. They answered everything. If you guys are wondering, this was live. There is a little bit of a delay between the video feed and the conference call on old technology on the phone. Yeah, that was all off the cuff for them. They're competent. They're cogent. They're very clear. I think somebody said in the comments they're going for everything. They are not all at once, but like you can see what they've been launching, what they are launching, and what they're even talking about in the future. It's a company that executes and probably ships product better than just about anybody. I think than anybody in fintech. If not, they've got to be number one or number two. So, and Tanner didn't even manage to tank the stock under 50 when he went. He tried. It went under there briefly, but yeah, we were saved.
I think we're under 50 right now.
Okay.
It's 49.99, so it's not too bad. Roy, you got to get out of here?
I've got 5 minutes or so.
Okay, cool. So Tanner and I will stay on a bit longer and we'll cover Microsoft and Meta. I don't know what Microsoft just said, but they said something. And I think maybe they increased CapEx and that's why we're pumping. I have no idea. They're on the call right now.
Bro, if that's true,
hold on,
holy. I know that they said they're saving their outlook for the call. So that could have been what just happened.
As soon as I get the answer, I will let you know. But it's definitely having some fun right now. Okay, so Roy, I'll just do a couple more questions with you, and then you can get out of here. Your question. Can you explain why you asked your question, and did you like their answer to it?
Yeah, I mean, like that's one of those 3 products that they called out in the earnings slide that said there was $100 million potentially run rate in the future in a couple of years. And I'm just kind of curious as they launch out products, like if we'll continue to see that. It's a bigger ecosystem each time they launch something than the last one. And maybe like in a bear market or crypto winter, that'll shrink a little bit. But I expect that the adoption rate of these newer products will continue to accelerate. That at some point in the future, this is like 5 years, 10 years down the road when they launch something, getting to $100 million would be like, yeah, that's nice. But we got bigger goals than that. And it's showing the excellence of their product just to have that amount of people that are actually using the product already. And we'll have to see, like with this product, if they outperform the market as a whole, and they might, like based on their handling the macro events as far as the tariff stuff so far, they're going to get a lot of traction on it. They really will.
Yeah, I would agree. Okay, so Tanner, what was your thoughts on the call? Why'd you ask them your question, and how do you think they did?
Yeah, my question was about top of funnel products. I wanted to know, even whenever I saw Vlad, this was essentially the same question that I asked him about banking. I was like, hey, you're going to be bringing on new customers through banking that potentially won't even look to your brokerage. They're just going to come here because you guys offer a great banking product. So I just asked him, are you guys attracting new users through just the credit card or just event contracts? And are you still able to get them to gold, to cross-sell them to brokerage? Because in that case, it is a full ecosystem. It's not just one product that's bringing everyone on, and then potentially they can get secondary and tertiary products with their core product, but everyone is coming in for something different. And then you can cross-sell all, great, amazing products. So, yeah, I happy with my question. I don't care that the market didn't even like it. It was just coincidence. Okay. But
it was closer to 51.50 when I asked my question. I'm just saying, and then you start talking. I just love that they had you like almost fifth to last. It's like we heard it before the answer, and every time me and Tanner were waiting for it, and it's like, nope, not yet.
Bro, if they would have kept me till the last, it's like getting around to 6 o'clock and I still haven't spoken, I would have been like, oh my God, I didn't make the cut. But no, they really did fit in everyone and a follow-up question. So I thought that was really awesome.
They should have kept you to the end, and then Vlad should have been like, oh, Tanner, wow, the question's late. That would have been.
Yeah, we still have one straggler in the queue. It's Tanner.
That would have been hilarious. Okay, so on Microsoft, real quick, I think they said they're AI constrained. That's what one of you guys is saying. No one has it on Twitter, but usually the big accounts have the quotes. No one has the quote. I think it's them saying, based on what you guys said in the chat, they are AI constrained beyond June is the quote.
Compute constraint, you mean?
Someone said AI constrained. So yeah, I would imagine compute constrained, which
Okay.
means they need more capex. We don't
They
have the
need more
guidance yet,
chippies.
but they need more chips.
Yeah, I'm looking up to see if the transcript's already out. I'll find it if so.
The mineral deal is definitely a headline, but Microsoft uniquely is pumping, so I don't think it's that. But yes, that's another headline. We are close to a mineral deal. Also, I'll stay on a bit longer, and maybe Tanner will stay with me. But Jensen and Trump were live together, and we can take a listen to it later. But that also was, something that I would imagine the markets enjoyed seeing. Right
So I did find the quote, if you'd like me to share that, from Microsoft. They say, therefore, we now expect to have some AI capacity constraints beyond June. So that was the quote.
Yeah, there it is.
Beyond June.
We are
insane, guys. Like, I mean, I don't know.
So Tanner got Roy and I to pull the trigger on NVIDIA about a month and a half ago. So shout out to Tanner. But we all three are bullish NVIDIA and Hood.
I haven't got any thank yous yet because the stock is down. So right now I'm just a net loser of their money. But that's not going to be forever, boys. All right.
Yeah,
I'm going to make you guys some money, and then
he turned us into bag holders. In terms of my question, so I think I'm forgetting exactly what Jason said, but I asked about the quality of people they brought over, and from what I remember, he said these people have a lot of money. Like the average account balance is well over 100K or something like that. And so from that perspective, 7 billion we brought over in March, mainly because of that 2% match. That means a lot of people probably left Schwab and Fidelity to take advantage of that. Robinhood's going to get an ROI on that in the future, but those people are going to sign up for the credit card. They're going to deposit money. They're going to take out margin. Wealthier people tend to leverage. They're going to deposit more money later in the future. They're going to use Robinhood strategies. Maybe they're interested. I mean, there's just so many ways for this flywheel to go up and to the right for a long time. So whatever happens to the stock is whatever. But I think that is, if you're buying a growth stock, you're buying that future growth. And I think that future growth is going to be there.
I was going to ask another question, but it was just too small to ask on an earnings call. But I was hoping, or maybe just a suggestion, that they were going to do something with events contracts and gold. I hope that they offer some sort of benefit to every single product that they have. That if somebody is gold, that they have a better connection to each individual product. And events contracts, I think, is going to be one of those top of funnel products where people are coming for just that product through Robinhood. So hopefully they change that.
Oh, wow. Hold on, Roy. Roy, go ahead. Tell us what you just sent us.
Yeah, we got an email, and I'm assuming it's public knowledge, although I don't see that on their website, but I think it would have to be some...
Do you want to... I think it has to be, yeah. If they sent
it has to be, yeah. There's no way that it's not. So it's from the April numbers. So net deposits were around 6.5 billion options. Trading is on track for an all-time high. For reference, the prior high was March 2025. Equities trading was a 4-year high. For reference, this was the highest since Q1 2021. Crypto trading was over $8 billion. Margin book was in the ballpark of 8.4 billion. So
okay, so let's just go through that real quick. Net deposit 6.5 billion. That's one of their second highest. I think that is the second highest month ever. That's great. That means retail put more money versus taking it out. Equities all-time high, options all-time high. Crypto 8 billion. That's significantly lower, but we expected that. That's still good. And margin book did decline by about 400 million. So
yeah, and for reference, IBKRs declined like 10 to 12% over the same time frame. So I mean, they're doing well.
There you go. I mean, I was confused why they didn't give us April numbers, but I guess they were just waiting until the end. So that's a solid month. Given the type of month we had in terms of volatility, that's a solid month.
Yeah, it is interesting though, right? Crypto trading, it's early, but that can definitely harm earnings if that stays up for the next 3 months.
Yeah.
Margin book is decreasing. Net deposits are still net deposits, not net outflows.
And 6.5 billion. I mean, like, yeah, I thought people were going to take money out and they were just scared, but we've seen from all the data retail's buying the dip. It seems like they legitimately are buying the dip.
On that note, guys, thanks for having me on. It's been a blast, and I'm going to leave you guys to break down and give all the answers for the market ever. And so If you're watching my channel, thank you guys for doing that. Hop onto these guys' channel. I think mine will continue either way, but that way you can ask questions that they can answer.
If you want, Roy, you can end it from your side on.
Let it keep playing. Let it keep playing. If people are watching, they might keep watching.
Yeah.
Real quick, Roy, before you leave, on my channel, this is Roy's YouTube. Please make sure to subscribe to his YouTube. He's closing in on 4,000 subs, and he started like a couple months ago, which is pretty insane. I listen to his videos, and it makes me feel calm. Like, it's just the most relaxing voice ever. So if you're not subscribed, please make sure to subscribe to him. He's a good friend, and he's a great analyst as well. Thank you, Roy.
Thank you, guys. Good night.
See you.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna leave as well.
What?
Dude, I gotta get back to work.
Guys, this is how Tanner is like he's like a girl who breaks your heart, dude. He'll say he'll love you, say he'll want to be with you forever, and then he'll leave.
Man, I'm hanging out with this guy after the meetup, and we've been hanging out all day. I hung out with him all day yesterday.
We get dinner in T-Dot. I'm with my Crodies, okay? I'm in his hometown, and we get dinner. I'm like, Tanner, let's hang out after dinner. He's like, no, I got to go home. I'm like,
no, we got dinner. We got dinner and everything, and then he goes, oh, let's go do this. Let's go do this. I'm like, man, by the time I get home, it's gonna be so late. It's gonna be like 11 p.m. I got a family, man. I'm living in a suburban white picket fence. I got a wife. We're trying to get some kids going. I can't be out all night.
Okay, well, she's not a wife yet, but she
No, I don't have kids on the way. So, but you know,
he was like, oh, I have to take care of my dog and my cat. I'm like, all right, Tanner.
that was the night before.
All right, buddy. Okay, so I'll stay on a little bit after you leave, but yeah, just raw thoughts on this quarter for Hood to end it off.
Dude, I'm a happy camper. Volatility will not determine whether or not I hold this stock for the long term. It could determine more entry prices, buying back more if the stock falls. But the entire market can see that they're not selling this company off because they just see the execution is so much higher than any other name, especially in fintech. But just like, in markets in general, they probably have one of the most A+, engineering teams out there. So they're a tech company that is playing in financial services and not the other way around.
Yeah, I think this is pretty exciting. I guess real quick, Tanner, you said you had an NVIDIA tirade. It's up almost 4%. Any quick thoughts on this one pumping?
No, I just think it's so funny that whenever the markets sell off and then it gets held down to $100, that people go, yeah, see, NVIDIA should be around $100. Guys, open your freaking eyes and take a look at the market that they are expanding into, okay? Realize that they have by far the leading position here. I don't care what anyone says about the China bans and everything like this. All you're going to see is Singapore and Taiwanese sales skyrocket. If you think China can't get their hands on chips, whenever 120 countries can get their hands on these NVIDIA chips, but one can't, I mean, just think about it for a second. Like, I think the administration, I didn't see what happened with the Trump administration talking with Jensen on that call there. So I don't know what's happening yet. I'm going to look at that once I get off the call. But oh my God, I mean, AI is such an explosive industry. We're talking about, like, this is why Meta is increasing their CapEx. They're finding ways to program bots into doing human jobs. Okay, this means slowing of new hires and making current engineers more productive and eventually creating engineers of their own. How much money is going to be backed by these large companies that can employ robotic full employees? Okay. We're not talking about just a simple code that, oh, if this, then that. This is logical robots that are making their own decisions, which could be revenue generating. I mean, the opportunity here is unlike anything we've ever seen. And you have an opportunity. Now, okay, I got to chill because I'm not trying to pitch a stock here. But for me, the way that I look at it is I have an opportunity to buy a company that's priced at a cigarette company, and it's the most explosive industry of all time. Now,
Walmart, Costco. Hey, it's like I didn't even know you're going to say Palantir, but I thought
no. I'm giving Palantir some credit. Okay. Palantir is getting a valuation based on the market being able to see how big this opportunity is. It's unbelievably huge, and so they get a massive premium. But now you have another company that is integral to this move. Okay, integral
Integral. Okay.
Hold on. Integral to integral. I love how you reworded or pronounced it to show how important it is. I'm going to steal that as a trick when I want to emphasize something. I'm going to say a word 2 ways. Go ahead.
But you cannot bet on a market without betting on every part of the supply chain here. Okay. You only get a Palantir if every company before it is heavily investing in capital expenditures, buying the #1 chips in the world with the software to back it. And then, by the way, CoreWeave doing unbelievable efforts and everything like this. You want to see the next phase of a company that gets into hardware? It's developing their own software that also produces lots of revenue. Okay. The only thing that surprised me about NVIDIA recently is that they didn't acquire CoreWeave completely and just offer that through their own subsidiaries. Okay. This company will be the most like net income generating company in the world this year in 2025. They're going to make more money than Microsoft. Good luck pricing that like Philip Morris. I think the market's dumb. They're going to grow faster than 20% in 2026 and 14% or 11% or whatever they have in 2027. It's crazy. The world is changing and investors need to open their eyes up to the opportunity. Look at what Meta's doing with capital expenditures.
You know when Tanner gets worked up, he's serious.
TSMC said that their AI chip revenue is going to double in 2025. And then people say, oh, well, NVIDIA is not going to go anywhere near that. Why? They're their biggest customer. Even if, I don't know.
NVIDIA is cheaper, to Tanner's point, than Costco, Philip Morris, the tobacco company, and Netflix. Clorox, Netflix. Like, I think the market is just scared that this AI thing is too cyclical, it's going to go away. And so this is the moment where you either believe in it and you put your money where your mouth is with NVIDIA, or you don't believe in it, and we find out over the coming years how it plays out.
Jake says SMCI says otherwise. Yeah, it's because no one wants to deal with SMCI because they're dealing with Dell and HP because they lost their moat. NVIDIA doesn't bring them up in calls. It has nothing to do with the demand. Look at the largest customers: Google, Meta, Microsoft, Amazon, all the biggest customers of NVIDIA. Are they putting up preliminary guidances like SMCI and saying, oh, actually, we're delaying our capital expenditures? No, that's a single supplier that is having problems, not the market. Focus on the market.
Also, the final thing to Tanner's point is, even if NVIDIA loses China, XAI is about to raise $20 billion to buy 1 million GPUs. Sam Altman tweets every other week that we don't have enough GPUs. I mean, I think there's a lot more demand across the world, even if China's gone.
Bro, Jensen's going down to China to talk their book, not because they're dropping China. It's just China's going to order through different means. Sorry. I mean, NVIDIA would decline that. They would say, oh my God, we don't do that. We have nothing to do with that. And they might not. But China is getting their chips. Like, this is another thing that Bill Gurley recently said, which I think is so funny. It's like, oh, the United States needs to win the AI war. This is an infinite game. There's no winning this. It's forever. To try to keep China out indefinitely is a struggle that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
They obviously will get this. Okay. I think that, you hurting American companies, your administration is to come in, be American first, and then stop American companies from making money is delusional. Doesn't make any sense. Let them win so then they can keep their moat going forward. Sorry, guys. That was my rant.
Brett Thompson, thanks for the $10 super chat. What a day with the gang. Thanks for all you do. Microsoft Meta changed my life today. Hope others in the chat benefit as well. I'm out. See you guys in the morning. Brett, thank you for being here. I'm going to stay on for 20 minutes and watch Jensen and Trump. Tanner, if you got to leave, then you can.
Yeah,
leave.
I'm gonna peace out. Thank you guys. Appreciate your time.
All right, Tanner's YouTube right here. Appreciate you, brother, and we will talk to you probably later this week. All right, and then there was one. I will have a lot more analysis on Hoodie tomorrow. I think I will be able to do a daily recap. You guys can tell my voice is still a little weird. This has been a long week of talking, so I will try to get a daily recap out. If not, then it'll happen tomorrow. But yeah, my thoughts on Hood is they crushed it. I have enough Hood. If it tanks further, I will buy more. This is a generational company. I believe a lot in solidification versus diversification, even though I want to have strategic diversification. And Palantir and Hood have changed my life, and these companies continue to execute, which is why I continue to allocate to both the names and